day rather than doing it on the PC with a nice webcam setup. So I'm just going to set up all of the bits because, yeah, even if I do it on the nice widescreen thing, it still doesn't let me do the vertical video crop, which is meant to be a function. That still doesn't work. So let's just go on to the live thing. Right, cool. I think that's all working now. So I'll pause it on there, but I will get the chat up on this screen because it's all right, Giovanni. But yeah, it's easier to just read the chat on that screen just because it's bigger font than it would be. If I do pop-out chat, I can probably control. So I'll still put it in the same sort of area. Cause what I like doing with this chat is putting it still roughly where the webcam, like the phone camera is there. So if I do that and then can I change the zoom in on that? Or does it not? Does YouTube, like in the pop-out window, not let me do the control thing and change the font? Oh, it does. Well, it does the desktop site at the same time. No, never mind, that's fine. I am going to keep that on about 200% because it is just a lot easier to read. So your average creator says they've not watched you in years. Welcome back. And all right, Stalker of the Oil Lantern. And Jake Awesome said, what are those filters called that just make it harder to breathe when they be used instead of not working at all? Oh, that's particulate filters. If you mean that when the particle bit's used up, you can still safely breathe through them, as in they don't let anything through, but they just get harder and harder and harder to breathe until they completely blocks. All right, Alex, no Belgian beer today, no beer today at all. Haven't had much to drink at all this year because, you know, last year my mental health wasn't great, drank a bit too much. So, yeah, this year I'm not drinking all that much, in all honesty. I was going to use my inhaler before I started streaming and I forgot. So hang on a second. I've got one of those weird butt pluggy looking ones, but these are. And I just need to wash my mouth out because apparently it's steroid and that can give you thrush if you don't do that. Right, there you go. Well, I got an M9A1 from one UK surplus store. I can't remember if they're still around and which particular one it was. It might have been Surplus and Lost or Surplus and Outdoors. I think you are allowed to vape on camera. I don't think that's disallowed, but no, it's a Symbicot turbo inhaler. The cool thing with these is that they don't actually, like, you know, the old compression inhalers. These ones are like kind of a particulate that you just twist and then suck on hard. So you don't actually need to, you know, they're much easier to take. You don't have to have all that weird technique where a lot of people like to use spacers with inhalers. Because the weird thing is, if you're actually a smoker, it's a powder-based one. It's easier if you're a smoker to actually take down the old type of inhalers because you're used to that kind of like, you know, suction as you suck and breathe at the same time. Whereas, you know, if you're a non-smoker or if you smoke cigars or a pipe and you don't inhale tobacco, it's actually much harder to use those inhalers because, you know, you don't take in much of the thing because you kind of doing a two-step breathing process, not like a weird double suck thing. Yeah, I saw that there's a convicted terrorist trying to get into the UK government. Yeah, because the fucking state of this country. I mean, I think there's already terrorists and criminals in government. It's just they're not previously convicted of it. Yeah, wants the young Muslims to learn and fight to get in shape, but he's completely peaceful, even though he was previously like accused of trying to bomb a church and other places, wasn't he, in a foreign country? Was about, I know most of what Sid Wilson's a Slipknot guy, isn't he? I don't quite understand what you're thinking, like, because you said, did you know? And then you said he has a lot of other masks. I don't, but yes, Sid Wilson did have gas masks. Yeah, the problem is, Dave, is like we were saying to people before, the weird fucking thing is, right, that in the US, it's way, way harder, it seems. And again, Trump sounds like he's trying to change a lot of this. But for years, it's been with the US. I don't want to get too party political because before Trump, it's probably quite similar with both Democrats and Republicans. It seems like be like one of those weird things where it's like if you come in illegally, you're given much better rights and chances than if you try to get a visa and do everything the right way. Does that make sense how I'm saying it? But, you know, like where we're seeing at the moment with the Minnesota stuff, that, you know, you've got all that Somali fraud going on, and those people for years have been just allowed to get away with it. Whereas if I said, oh, as a British person, I'd like to come over, find some sort of job, you know, pay taxes and all that, then you have to first pay for your visa, have everything lined up. So yeah, I definitely go to a vacation on the US and want to go to like a load of shooting locations and stuff like that. Like quite literally shooting locations as opposed to shooting locations with a camera, if you know what I mean. But yeah, I mean, but the other thing is because I'm chronically ill with a lot of things, my medical insurance sort of costs in the US would be fucking stupid. So yeah, US isn't really my kind of pro-choice that way, if you get what I mean. Even though I like the US, I don't think I'd personally work well in the US. If I become some sort of really rich YouTuber or whatever, then maybe that would be an option. Because, you know, if I could just do what I'm doing at the moment and sit around like Asmongold does and just chat about stuff, but earn enough money and then be able to also go to gun ranges and shoot stuff, that'd be great. Am I optimistic things will get any better in the UK, for example? Maybe eventually. I don't know. Like, the problem is at the moment is a lot of stuff is just shit, but it's not just shit in the UK, it's shit in a lot of countries, sometimes for slightly different reasons, sometimes. When you say, do you have new content ideas, how do you mean? Because most people watching these want to see videos on various gas masks and whatever else. So in terms of new content, often it's masks people haven't seen before, or doing various tests or whatever on masks people haven't seen before. Yeah, the notification thing on it, Ballsy doesn't work very well at all. Yeah, so if you're English and do it, rather than being a Mexican, they just shove you on a plane and send you out with criminal charges. Yeah. But yeah, but like I said, I don't want to just generalize it too much to reform, like Stalk with the All I'm saying, but just generally in a lot of Western countries, we've all got lots of similar problems, I think it is. And I'm not, in general, a lot of it is very rich people that want super cheap labor from illegal immigrants or people that they can fuck over with shitty working rights. So basically they can keep everybody poor and crap, you know. So Giovanni says, how do I test my gas mask filters? Basically, well, particulate ones or vapor and particulate ones. If they're the ones where the easiest way, if you don't want to buy ammonium nitrate, like is it ammonium nitrate smelling salts, or am I thinking of fertilizer now? Where was my smaller selling salts, which I think might have expired. I'm being careful because these are smelling salts. They've still got a bit of kick to them. That's not the really good ones. Oh, there they go. So you can buy something like this. It might not be ammonium nitrate I'm thinking of then, might just be this is something with ammonia in that's not ammonia nitrate. Because that's ammonia and nitrogen. I thought ammonia nitrate, though, is in plant fertilizer, isn't it? It's probably one of those things you can buy for the purposes of plant fertilizer in certain numbers, but... Right. Yeah. Yeah, it still works. Oh, Christ. That there. So you can buy shit like this. This is very good for testing a filter, because if you have any sort of reaction like that, you know your filter's not working. But bear in mind, not all filters filter ammonia anyway. If you didn't want to go as extreme as that, just use a bit of air freshener, banana oil, something like that. Something that's strong enough that you definitely smell it without a mask on. But for example, with that same shit, so let's just demonstrate it with the Fashida and this one. Well, I'm not putting on a face for the sake of making a face. That's a completely natural reaction. Smelling salts is like getting an electric shock. Because even my dad, who has no sense of taste and smell now, because it's like a chemical reaction, I've done that to him with the smelling salts, and he was dumb enough to take a really big whiff, and he was like coughing for like 5 minutes straight. Because, yeah, smelling salts work regardless. Sorry. Seems to be pressurizing. We'll find out. Yeah, working perfectly. Sometimes I can actually feel my skin burning on my fingers when I do that. Yeah, they definitely work, don't they, Dave, for giving you a fucking kick. They're like one of those things. I can smell a bit of the ammonia in the air still now. Yeah, but yeah. So yeah, this mask and this filter definitely works. But, yeah, it's not the salt. It's because it's giving off ammonia into the air. Yeah, that's why I've got the Beast's World's Strongest smelling salts, because the Eddie Hall ones, because they're the strongest possible ones that I think you can buy on Amazon or whatever. They're also therefore the best for testing the gas masks, because if there's a tiny little crack in the mask or whatever, you will know. So it's not the salt, Ninja Man. What it is it's the ammonia gas coming off of it. It's a bit of it is hitting it and then coming back down. So imagine it wafting if you could see it visibly coming out of the bottle. Some of it, as you hold the bottle like that and open the top, some of that gas is coming back down as it hits the bottom of the mask, going on your fingers, and then you're getting the chemical thing of the ammonia being on your finger. Yeah, they are very, very strong, yeah. Because again, it's not a bloody fake me going like, ooh, like that, like I'm faking it. No. Smelling salts are a very real thing, how they work. Again, that's why they used to use them on people that had fainted and stuff like that. Because if there was any way of like chemically reviving somebody without injecting them full of stuff and anything like that, ammonia is like one of those things, because it causes such a strong... What I do need to do, actually, though, using smelling salts, I need to try and remember this. The next time I get really bad hiccups, I need to see if smelling salts can actually reset your hiccups. Because sometimes I get bad hiccups, like acid reflux kind of thing, where I take a load of antacids, and even then, sometimes, because I've actually been to hospital once before because I had hiccups that like lasted 24 plus hours, to the point, I was struggling to breathe and it was setting my asthma off, and they had to give me like really, really strong antacids, I think via a drip, when I was in hospital for that. So I'm just wondering if that's one of those things where this would actually, so Devon, it's something worth trying then, isn't it? It will either fix it or it will get a lot worse. Well, it's better than doing nothing then, I guess. I don't know, Giovanni. Like I said, most of the stuff is you need enough money to start with, because if it's something that's rare, it's probably going to cost more. Then eBay and Etsy are the two sites I find that are pretty good for general surplus if you know what you're looking for. Oh, they do. You might have almost killed more than that. But yeah, I'll have to try that, Dave. All right, Rich. But yeah, it's one of those things where, like, I keep forgetting to do it when I get really bad hiccups, and you try all those stupid things that are meant to give you some little reaction that makes your like diaphragm reset. But again, obviously, there's a bit of a difference as well between just having normal hiccups and when you have it, because it's like an acid reflux, really bad thing where, something's trapped open. But yeah, I just do need to remember I have got these for when stuff like that really kicks off again. Yeah, you are, Rich. Can you actually buy ammonia as a chemical? It's probably very illegal. So where I'm already on a watch list, I'm just going to make it worse now. So let's have a look. Ammonia. Buy hydrogen per truck. Sulfate of ammonia. What's this? 1 kilo bucket. Garden fertilizer and soil improver. Ooh. Do I get on a watch list for buying ammonia? Yeah. Ammonia nitrate. I only need... Smallest bucket they do is 1 kilo. If I buy it now, free delivery by Tuesday the 3rd of February. Right, let's buy some ammonium nitrate. Why not? It's already still on the stream. I'm doing it. I'm just interested if I can refresh my smelling salts with them. Oh, I do have some house plants I can use them with. So yeah, now I've rewatched V for Vendetta, and I've got the fucking dagger coming. I'm definitely on a watch list now, because yeah, fucking let's buy some ammonium nitrate. Why not? The truth is, there is something terribly wrong with this country, isn't there? But anyway, let me get back to the chat I was on. There we go. Again, eBay. All this stuff is the UK police stuff gets surplus to eBay normally. Oh, you've been moving. Hey, have you, Rich? Hope that's all been all right, giving you a bit of exercise and that. But yeah, so that's ammonium nitrate I bought. It's like the general fertilizer mix for plants, but I don't know why I'd want to tape toilet paper to a wall. That seems to be completely different from what we were talking about. Yeah, I've reviewed friends. Like, again, I don't want to, because I'm not really a movie review channel. Like, I will review movies if they're things I think people would like, that like my sort of content. You know, if there's a movie I've seen that's very good in the terms of like, so like another one I might do a proper video on, although people know it from Red Letter Media, and I'll rewatch it again recently, is Surviving Edged Weapons, for example. So that's a very, very good training film for police about not getting, stabbed and stuff like that. Instant cold packs. So again, I like saying for my sort of stuff forging for, I'm not actually doing anything dodgy with them. It's just I thought more, could I reuse that to replenish smelling salts kind of thing? Because the problem with some of my other smelling salt things is they do have little ammonia salt kind of crystals in them, but if they're not particularly tight fitting things, they tend to dry out. What are smelling salts made from? Ammonia carbonate, primarily in that. So, how does ammonia carbonate differ from ammonia nitrate? Because I have had nitrate fertilizers before, and they do a really similar thing if you sniff them. So, ammonia carbonate and ammonia nitrate differ primarily in stability, chemical composition, and use. Ammonium carbonate is a volatile white solid used as smelling salts or a levering agent that decomposes into ammonia and CO2. Ammonium nitrate is a stable, high nitrogen fertilizer, an explosive agent that does not easily decompose. Oh, well, we'll find out when it comes, but doesn't hurt having some ammonia, does it? Yeah, as Dave said, and make sure it's drawn and ready before the knife goes into you. Because that's, again, one of those things in surviving edged weapons is just because you've got a gun on you, you need to have good enough reflexes and aim and everything, and be a good enough distance primarily from a knifeman, or you're fucked if the knifeman's really good at what he's doing. Because that's the main thing where they did the training exercise of all the cops. And most of the time, you'll be fatally or horribly stabbed before you get a chance to raise your gun and shoot, especially if you're like at arm's length from somebody. Whereas, the ones where the cop could get a shot off and evade was when the person was like 20 feet or whatever from them. So what is that retconned with the 28 years later, what retconned everything in the 28 days later one, did it? I have done that on certain things, though, if you've not seen them, because I did do one on 28 days that was pretty popular. I think I did one, did I, on The Last of Us as well? But again, the thing I always say in those videos is make sure you've got all your skin covered where nothing can easily bite or tear you. That's cool, Giovanni. But yeah, like I said, for personally, if you want to get masks properly, more you need to wait till probably you're 18. You got a load of money coming in, and then you can just use your own card to buy them on eBay and Etsy and where else. Yeah, well, I mean, it's different kinds of slavery, isn't it, though, Dave? But like I said, I think some of the freest countries are more like the ones like Switzerland, where, again, they are very pro-gun there, and like nearly everybody owns a gun because I think you're almost legally required to, aren't you? Because it's kind of a thing that if, in case of invasion, you need to have your gun at the ready. So the funny thing with Switzerland is used to see videos of people like getting off and on the bus, and there was signs saying, "Don't forget your rifle," don't leave your rifle in lost property, kind of thing, for the battle rifles and everything else. So, automatic rifles with the 30-round mags, which I've got a Diak one, but I can't show it on YouTube on a live stream. The Sturmgewehr 57. But yeah, if they're pro-gun, though, what I'm saying is you're probably going to less likely have a scenario, aren't you, where somebody actually risks trying it. That's what I'm saying. The problem is if you're somewhere like the UK, where lots of this stuff is banned, and they also make lots of anti-self-defense laws, you end up in the situation where criminals don't fear anybody having anything. Yeah, exactly, Zach. That was the bit I was getting at with what do you call it? Surviving edged weapons. I don't know, Caesar, why it's always the generic green cartoon thing like The Simpsons, but yeah, it's actually blue when you see anything radioactive ever glow. In reality, it's a blue glow. The best way of protecting yourself from, well, watch the surviving edged weapons thing, Dave, and sort of inform yourself. I'm not saying you're wrong with you personally. I'm just saying you kind of need to be really aware of how fucking some people can be at killing others with a knife. But yeah, so anyway, going back to protect yourself from a knife attack, like I was saying before in the videos, firstly, it's the best thing is obviously, and again, this is going to sound stupid, but not being where there's a knifeman. And what I mean by that is because, yeah, you can't fix it, you know, in all scenarios, but if there's somebody dodgy, don't get too close to them. Yeah, and as Zach's saying, a lot of the things as well is like, again, I have the chainmail glove in different rooms, so I can't get them out handily now, and I've got the inkstop thing on this one. But these sort of, there's a lot of things you can buy, like anti-stab materials and whatever else. And yeah, you can wrap a shirt or a bag around your arm and use that as like a shield. But the main thing is basically fight and do something. Don't just, because again, where most people seem to get killed in stabbing seems to be where people just sort of cower away somewhere and hope that they're going to be left and not hurt, you know. And if it's a terrorist or some fucking nut that's just going around, you know, trying to stab as many people as possible, you're making yourself an easy target now. Whereas, you know, in most of the things where somebody eventually fends off and detains attacker, it's where a group of people all stand together and just kind of fucking rush them, because, you know, they can only be trying to stab so many people at once. And if enough people are going for their arms and whatever, or tackling them. All right, see you, Giovanni. Yeah, don't be an antisocial dickhead and sit around using your phone in a restaurant rather than talking to your family. The stormtroopers can't complain yet, as long as it's a legal carry. You're right, Saint. Anyway, but yeah, like I was saying with a lot of these things, is that's not okay. But no, this is the M4's bayonet. This is actually a reproduction one, but it's very similar to the K-bar, but it's like a bayonet lugged one. So the M1 carbine's bayonet is actually called the M4. So don't mistake that for the M4 rifle. But yeah, this is the American bayonet style M4, which was for the M1 carbine, and basically, yeah, it, you know, slots on like that. If you've got the carbine with the actual bayonet lug on it, because a lot of M1 carbines didn't have bayonet lugs, they were kind of a retrofitted thing. And yeah, so the US Vietnam bayonet, which I really like, the M7, that is very much this resized, but with a plastic handle to fit an M16. Yeah, it's quite a small tang, Saint. But the thing is, with something like this, I think when it's on a rifle, it's not really going to be a problem. Again, though, I think it is one of those things that the later US military bayonets, I think, did have a better tang in them, but I'm not sure. But I know the M9 bayonet, is the M9 still the current US service one? But I know a lot of people don't like the M9, they prefer the M7. Because the M7 is very much a blade like this, you know, much more of like a proper killing blade. The M9 is more of a multi-tool knife. So again, the M9 bayonet is probably a more useful bayonet for wire cutting, using it for various utility things like a bottle opener and whatever else. The M7 and the M4 bayonets are ones that are designed literally as a, you know, this is a knife for fucking shanking somebody with kind of thing. And they all have the M8A1 scabbard. Again, this is a repro one, but it's quite a well-made repro one. And I know it's a well-made repro one because it locks properly onto my M1 carbine that's deact. Whereas, you know, when you sometimes buy shit quality repro ones, they've not even got the lug size correctly. Another thing, Zach, again, I'm not going to try and correct you on anything to do with fighting, but bring your knees up into somebody's balls, because I've been in fights before that, you know, I didn't choose to initiate. But, you know, that sort of shit sometimes happens. And yeah, kneeing somebody in the balls, I don't care if it's unmanly, ungentlemanly, whatever, you win and you're not going to have the shit kicked out of you. I don't think it's the face of a stone cold badass. It's just somebody, we were talking about bayonets for rifles. But yeah, that would be my advice is there such a thing as a fair fight? Because again, if somebody else is initiating you and being aggressive towards you and is going to try and swing at you, I have no problem bringing my knee up quickly into their balls and knocking them over, screaming in pain on the floor. You know, it's one of those things that I'd rather do that than let somebody take a swing at me because I'm trying to be polite and not initiate thing. What, the fair burn? No, so the one you're on about, Christ man, is the fair burn. Fair burn Sykes, if we pronounce it properly. I think it's spelled fair burn, isn't it? But you're on about this one. No, that's all right. Like I said, you probably just came in at a weird time if you'd not seen my videos before, or at least everything on there. But yeah, the FS knife. Let's actually look at the spelling. I think it's spelled, so it's fair bairn, isn't it? Because it's Scottish technically. Because was it Jim Sterling or one of the other ones that used this a lot? Yeah. So, but yeah, there you go. So this is like one of the old original kind of commando knives, and the idea of this one is just the balance on it. But this is literally a killing blade. Yeah, it's designed entirely as a blade that, you know, isn't for any utility use. It's for killing. That's why it's got that diamond shape to it. And again, it's basically for going into the jugular, being punched out. If you've ever watched the training films for these, it's very interesting. Because like I said, a lot of people think this would have probably been used like, you know, any other knife, but it seems a lot of the British training for it was to basically grab somebody sideways into the neck like that. And I need to be careful because of how fucking sharp this thing is. Yeah, it's fair. This is a reproduction one, but a very well made reproduction one. It's not like an old World War II one. But then what you'd actually apparently do is punch out. You know, it's not one where you'd slit somebody's throat like that, like it's a film. Apparently you'd directly kind of punch into their neck like that. Then you punch forwards with your fist to rip the entire windpipe out. And the idea was that then nobody can even scream or gurgle loud enough when you've killed them. I think the other thing was you went into like the back of the spine, didn't you, with it like that? Yeah, it's a Sheffield made one. In its third pattern, which is like the ribbed style one, where, you know, the older ones have more like the checkered style patterns. Yeah, it is an emotional support thing. But yeah, the reason I like the FS knife, to show you how sharp it is, again, hang on. I could have actually just done that directly in front of the camera. Hang on, let me move the camera back. So I'm going to move my mouse mat because I don't want to damage my mouse mat. But so here's the table here. There we go. Literally will stick out of a table like that because of how sharp it is on its own. Look. Doing, doing, doing. Yeah, the FS is one of the only knives I've got that you can actually drop onto a surface and it'll stick out of it like that. But yeah, if I just do a bit of pressure, that's all you need. Oh, no, that's not quite all I need, but yeah, if you just put it with that, yeah, like that. There you go. You do not need much pressure at all to get an FS to start penetrating even into stuff like wood. It's very yeah. Like I said, these were knives designed for commandos for killing. So yeah, it's one of those things that this is a completely fucking useless knife if you want a utility knife, like a Swiss Army knife that does a lot of stuff. If you wanted to kill somebody, this is pretty fucking good at it because it is literally like a killing dagger. It's like a downscaled medieval dagger, basically. Punch daggers. I think, annoyingly, Kevin, they might actually be illegal in the UK, punch daggers. I don't know about looking. But yeah, I've always found the look of them quite interesting. But I have a weird feeling they might be totally illegal in the UK. Like, again, one of those weird categories. Well, let me search punch daggers UK law. Yeah, in the United Kingdom, push daggers are illegal to own, sell, import, or carry in public. So yeah, you can't even buy them into the UK or have them in your house. They're in that really shitty category. Because like I was saying, with the swords and things like that, something like this, I can't take this onto the street and do anything with it, but it's totally legal for me to have what I want to do with it in my house. You know, and it's like that sort of thing. Oh, don't forget to like the stream anybody that's coming on. But the problem is with something like the punch daggers, yeah, the punch daggers, they don't even let you fucking own for, But yeah, if we were on about cool bayonets, just because I had this out earlier for when I was filming a video earlier, let's get it the right way around. This one is still one of my favourites, the Lee Enfield, like the short sword one, because that's a pretty nasty bayonet, isn't it? And it's a very, very nice knife. This is actually an Aussie one, this one. Yeah. Again, the old World War I era, like pre-World War I and World War I era bayonets that are literally fucking swords that went on the end of your rifle because they were intended mostly as real anti-cavalry kind of bayonets. Soviet bayonets. I've got a couple of AK bayonets. That's it. Yeah, I don't know, Saint, regarding that. Oh, cutlass bayonets. Probably. Let me have a Google image just so I definitely know I'm on about the right thing. Cutlass bayonets. Yeah, they're pretty cool. I don't have any, but yeah, they are cool. But yeah, again, it's one, isn't it, that's designed to work either as a short sword you can fight with on its own, or be still mounted to your rifle, not get in the way of rifle operations and stuff like that. Again, I do really like cutlasses because my favourite actual sword I've got for personally, you know, swinging about and probably being somewhat dangerous with it and not being shit with it. Oh, somebody sent me a message. Stream currently didn't remember to set myself as offline. There we go. I don't know about which bayonets. I'll look into that now. Zach, right. So here's where things get interesting. And how am I doing in the... Right, so going back to that. There you go. Regarding the person asking about 1984. But yeah, so... Yeah, like, so with the UK stuff, and I'm not going to say where any of my stuff is particularly stored in general, just in case, you know, for legal reasons. But say in the UK, if something is to hand or whatever, so like say you own a sword, right? Like what that, and it's a really nice ornament, and you've got it hanging on your bedroom wall, not because it's on your wall because you want to use it for defense, like, because that would be illegal. But say you've got it there because you like it as a wall decoration in your bedroom or whatever, and then one night you wake up and you hear somebody kicking your door in and you're really scared, and because that bayonet is to, well, sword is to hand or whatever, you grab it from the wall display and then you go around your house looking with the sword out in front of you, and then something happens, you might have to use it. That is a much better legal way of, you know, potentially getting away with it, if you like, than saying, oh yeah, I own this for self-defense or had it somewhere. Because again, that's one of the things where a lot of the time when people have beaten the shit out of or killed a home invader or a group of home invaders, when they've done it with something that just happened to be around where they were because it was stored there for whatever reason, and they grabbed it at the time because they were scared and they just grabbed something and it happened to be that thing and they used it, that's when you're nearly always going to get acquitted, as opposed to even if it's the exact same purpose of killing a burglar or whatever, you're much more likely to get away with it than if you supposedly legally, anyway, I'm not a lawyer, but Black Belt Barrister's a good channel, by the way, for people that want sort of a red-pilled lawyer, sort of that's based in Britain for some of this stuff. But yeah, then that's why the people sometimes say if they own a shotgun or whatever, or a rifle, and in the UK they have to be locked in a gun safe legally if you own them. You can't just keep them wherever. That's where those people normally get fucked by the law, because they say the effort of you going to the gun safe and opening the gun safe it means that you kind of premeditated it, or, you know, didn't feel that at risk because you could get to where your gun safe was and open it. And I don't know if you can have gun safes in your bedroom. My gun safe isn't mounted in the bedroom. We've got it mounted in one of the rooms with the strongest concrete walls and floors, so you can't, you know, somebody with a crowbar can't just rip it out easily. Yeah, exactly, Dave. Like I said, I don't think it's a good thing, but what I'm saying is if you did have to defend yourself, it would basically be like saying if there was some state in America where it got that cucked, it'd be like saying, well, this is my decorative AR. I hang this AR on my wall, sir, because it's a very nice looking AR. It just so happened that when I grabbed it and I heard a noise in the middle of the night, that, well, I didn't know, sir. I just had it on me. You know, exactly that rap with drip. But sadly, the politicians here, you know, hate most of us, and especially ones that want, you know, individual rights. What's a foghorn leghorn? I was sort of just doing a generic sort of American Civil War-y sounding one. That's kind of interesting. So yeah, if you're using them at home, you can have them from a younger age than if you were out and about with them. But yeah, what was the thing we were going on about before? VZ58 bayonets. I've got a VZ58 bayonet, but I don't have a VZ58 pelmet. Is it still in this drawer, or did I put it somewhere else? Hang on. Because if so, I can show you a VZ58. Yeah, that one. So what do you mean when you say you put on back to front with that comment? Hang on. Let me find it. So David Coach says, got VZ58 bayonet. It works with, like, I'm not sure you meant weirdly. You put it from the rear back to the front. Oh, what, like slide it like that? I've never really thought about it before. But yeah, you're right, because that wouldn't work, would it, doing that with it to mount it? Yeah, so the lug would be like there, and then you'd have to slide it up into the lug. I see what you mean. Yeah. This was a damaged one, by the way, so I reground an end onto it. It was like a snapped off one I got cheap at one point. But yeah. So they don't normally look at, they're normally a bit longer than this, but yeah, because this one was damaged when I got it, I thought, and got it cheap, and I don't have a VZ58 on it, I thought I'd take it to a grinder and kind of reprofile it, so at least it's kind of useful. But yeah. But yeah, Czech stuff's cool. I like Czech stuff. But anyway, what were we talking about? Let me go to the bottom of the chat. Well, not if the bayonet lug locks properly, because with bayonets, how they stay on a rifle, David, not sorry, David, is Opvane, is how bayonets stay on a rifle. And again, sadly, even though I've got some rifles in this room, Diet ones, that take bayonets, if I get the rifle out and show you, they'll take my stream down because it violates the policy. But see, they've got like locks on them. Don't know how visible that is, but nearly all bayonets have like a locking lug sort of system. So once you put it on, that bayonet, unless something physically snaps the metal, doesn't come out unless you you know, press the button in or however they do it. So like on the American one, see, you've got that bit on the bottom. So once that's locked in, you have to hold that while pulling off on the bayonet to get it to come off. And it will be with the Czech one, you'll have to press that button in while pulling it the other way. So yeah, it won't come off, even, doesn't matter how the bayonet goes on, what way, you know, if it goes on that way, it goes on that way, has some weird like lift up and clip on design. As long as it's got the metal clips, the idea is that it stays on until you do whatever counteraction is needed. Ah, that's cool. Yeah, well, I wouldn't recommend putting necessarily a bayonet on an airsoft gun if you went to an airsoft skirmish, because then it might get all too real. You know, somebody's not taking their hits, you go up and shove your VZ58 into them to make sure they take their hits again. Is that like the one he has in Commando? I don't know if it's the Soviet one in Commando, but you know where Arnie shoots a guy with a ballistic knife, doesn't he, in Commando? But I know the one you're on about, your average creator, but obviously I don't have any. I assume civilians can't even own those at all in the UK. Ballistic knife. So that's a US spring-powered one. Soviet Union, NRS one. So yeah, the Soviet one again looks pretty similar. It's just, again, it looks kind of like a good quality AK bayonet, obviously just with some differences in. But yeah, but all right, Daniel. Yep. Yeah, although I know when I used to do airsofting a little bit, and like I said, I didn't do it much just because there wasn't many places near me. With airsoft stuff, I know any of the airsoft sites that I went to, you weren't allowed the knives at all, even if they were fake ones, just because I think they were worried about that exact thing, that some retard might bring in a real bayonet, say, oh no, it's a fake one, and then somebody ends up getting stabbed. You know, so in any of the airsoft sites I went to, you weren't even allowed any like fake knives, shovels, or anything like that. I can understand why they did that, just because I'll have a look at that in a minute, Saint. So Stoic Jedi says, what are your thoughts on the new virus in India? Wow. All right. So is this the virus that would normally be hard to spread? Because how it spreads is you have to be in close proximity to human shit. But the problem with this virus is it's in India. And India is a country where in lots of bits of the country, people shit in the streets and the Ganges and whatever else. So we're in a scenario where a virus that, you know, you'd think basic sanitation would stop people spreading is, yeah. So, yeah, that would worry me just because it's got about 1.something billion people to go through where it could mutate, yeah. I mean, I'm not very worried where I live because I don't shit where I eat, you know, which is a common human thing. But, yeah, if you were going to spawn in a virus that spread from poo to people, India would probably be one of the best places to do it in. Yeah, it's spread by fecal matter. Yeah. They throw bodies and trash in the Ganges. Yeah, the Ganges is literally like, yeah, it's pretty disgusting. And throw trash in the street. Yeah, this is what I'm saying. This is why sanitation should be an enforced thing. Because, yeah, there's quite an interesting video on YouTube, and I'm not even saying this to be, like, horrible to Indians, and it's all about how, like, the life expectancy and everything in India is worse because the government doesn't quite literally want to get its shit together and force pooing standards on people. You know, doesn't want to build proper public toilets and toilet infrastructure, and doesn't want to, you know, like, fine people for shitting in the open because that is part of my culture, sir, or whatever stupid reason the government says. Well, especially saying, like, those not Belgian cookies, the Danish cookies, yeah. Like I said, I have nothing against actual Indian people, especially because a lot of the ones that come to the UK are very, like, well-mannered, civilized people that, you know, behave and follow a lot of the laws and that, but like I said, if I was spawning a virus and I wanted some sort of crazy infection vector where there's animals roaming around, trash everywhere, and poo, India would probably be the place I'd spawn it in on, like Plague Inc. or any of those games. But I mean, the Ganges is just a really big river that runs through India. It's just, yeah, sadly, it should be a really nice, beautiful river, but people throw trash and dead bodies in it. So it ends up looking like a blight town kind of thing from Dark Souls. Valley of Defilement from Demon Souls. I had a chart. I can't remember if it was on my PC or my phone. It's like one of those funny things that's a real thing, not a meme. But let me get bowel movements per week, India. Let's see if I can find it. Oh, here's the map. Here's the map. So let's see if I can link this in the chat. I need to download it first. Right, so I'm going to have to assume that this isn't, you know, made up numbers that's completely made to just be horrible to Indian people, okay? Oh, I'm not going to be able to link this directly, am I, on here? Because the link's going to be too long. Let me just see if I can find the same picture somewhere. Right, so, but yeah, so to get this image up and quote it, right, so we're on about, this is about bowel movements per week. So how many times you go to take a shit per week, right? And in Europe, lots of Eastern Europe is like 4 to 7 times per week. So most people go to poo once per day or like once every 2 days. Russia is 29 for some reason. So some of Central Europe is about 15, 16. Lots of the UK is 32, but Ireland is 2, which is a really weird discrepancy. But I suppose it's all the Greg sausage rolls that and the steak bakes that make us all shit ourselves. But say Italy is 55. And if you logically think about that, the reason that there's so many bowel movements in Italy is because they eat a lot of oily food and that makes you shit a lot. Now, so bear in mind, the highest number per week is 55, and that's in Italy, in Europe, right? And what you do then, so if obviously you think 7 days a week, so that means that people on average are pooing less than 10 times a day. But yeah, now let's look at the India one I downloaded. Like I said, I can't link to this. So in southern India, the very like southern tip of India, I can't remember, is that Calcutta or is that somewhere else? I don't know, but that is 154 bowel movements per week. 154. So that means on average, people in these areas shit 20-something times a day. And yeah, and that most of them probably aren't doing it in a proper toilet with clean water to wash their hands in. They're doing it in the street and everywhere else. And yeah, and the number gets even worse because of the fact that because they're around all this stuff, when you get dysentery or cholera or whatever else, you then start shitting yourself to death. So yeah, this is the reason that it actually fucks the Indian people over, and the government, if they actually cared about their people, would make like loads of public toilets and fucking enforce it with fines and whatever, and not let you do, oh, it's our culture or whatever to shit everywhere kind of thing. Because it's literally a thing where like kids die young because of like malnutrition and all stuff like this, because of all the fucking like stomach-borne diseases you get via all of that shit everywhere. You know, there's a reason you have good sanitation, and why in historical periods in any country, if they didn't have good sanitation, you know, people died younger, because it's just awful for everybody, you know. into the streets or the Ganges or thrown out your window or whatever out. Oh, yeah, because, Dave, a lot of them do have dysentery, yeah, or cholera or whatever else. I have ulcerative colitis, so for me it's weird, Sherlock, because when my colitis is flaring up, I might be 5 to 10 times a day and in pain. When, depending on what I'm eating otherwise, yeah, it might be every, like a couple of times per week. Yeah, to me, it really depends on how much I'm eating and how my colitis is, flaring up and what type of food I'm eating. Because, yeah, like the other person was saying, if you're drinking coffee, if you smoke a lot, because nicotine gives you the runs as well, it like frees your bowels up. I mean, and it's the other way around. I imagine in most of these American places where people are fentanyl addicts, they probably don't shit at all, because fentanyl, I imagine, does the same thing as heroin, where what do you call it? It's like the opposite of a laxative, whatever where if you have opioids, they completely block you up. The one I'm on, Alex, is pentasameslamine, or whatever it's called for the most part. And I get that in different forms and strength depending on how bad my UC currently is. I did have a colonoscopy last year, and they were on about originally changing my medicine around, but since I'm not working the job I used to be doing, my stress levels have gone down and my UC has been nowhere near as bad because I'm not having to deal with the work stress, which is then, inflaming my colon as much. Because India got brought up. Because the Indian virus. On this channel, we do talk about a lot of stuff. What stop you pooing or make you poo, Kevin? Or does it depend on the particular MRE? But yeah, in fiber makes you shit more normally, Caesar. Again, it depends on the type of fiber. But for me, I'm told to avoid complex fiber, but I can eat simple fiber. Because again, complex fiber, if you've got UC, is apparently one of those things that irritates your stomach more. Like, for example, baked beans. I basically don't eat baked beans because as much as I like baked beans literally give me horrible stomach cramps and make me need to shit. All of them stop you up. Oh, do they do it on purpose? So yeah, if you're in the field, you don't need to, you're not going to have the runs while you're in the field while potentially under fire. Yeah, and during apparently most of the old wars with medieval archers, what the English and Welsh bowmen did was, obviously wipe your ass with your hands when you were done, and then dip the arrowheads in all the mud and shit as well as you using your hands then on stuff. And then if you get an infection, then no antibiotics, you're fucked. Oh, was they do that? What in Vietnam with the punji stick sort of traps? Yeah, coat them in shit and horrible stuff. So yeah, you're more likely to get infected once you get the thing in you. Yeah. So David said, when my grandfather was serving in the Czechoslovakian People's Army in 19, was that the second part or the first part of the comment? But yeah, so oh, so what the actual gum is a laxative then, but everything else, whatever opposite of a laxative? Oh, they're just literally called anti-diarrheal. Or they have terms like anal congestive. But so while there's laxative, there's not a proper term for anti-diarrheals. They're not called like bloxatives or whatever. I did do a video on this, but if people haven't seen, there's the Transnistrian money that's not going to focus on you. Oh, this fucking lamp never stays in the position you want it to stay in. So guitar puck money. But yeah, maybe millimeter, but the thing is that you get so many different types of drones. So I imagine with tunnel warfare, you could have some horrible like worm drones that go into the tunnel. Right, depends on the video, Saint. So I can show you this one because it's handy. So if I'm doing a decent, good quality video, this is the one I tend to use the most now, the Pocket 3, because it can be used vertically and horizontally. So if I turn it on, look, and I'll do it. So I turn it on manually so it doesn't start recording. this has got the gimbal that can follow you around if you want. So with this one, you can obviously record in vertical, or you can flip it and have it in landscape. So I can have it in like 4K widescreen, 3K, for example, vertical. And if I do the face tracking thing on it, 1 second, face detect start, let's see if I can demonstrate this to you, and then like look around. So if I do that, is that going to turn all the way around the gimbal? So I just want to see if I can keep the gimbal looking at my face while turning this around. Start. Right, so I can see my face and actually detect it. Yeah, that's sometimes that works, sometimes that doesn't. But yeah, but this has like a face thing, so it can track your face and whatever else. So this is, in general, if I'm doing a video that's like a decent quality one, I normally use this. I still have a very good Canon 4K, like proper kind of professional camcorder. You know, so not like a little tiny camcorder, but one of the ones that, you know, is kind of like a big rectangular, like old TV style camcorder. I bought that a few years ago, but the problem is with that one is that a lot of modern Windows codecs don't support it properly now. So if I film in that, I have to then convert the videos off of whatever format they come from on the Canon's card, then, you know, do all the editing with them and everything and else to upload them. So I tend to not use that as much anymore, but it's still a nice camcorder if I ever want to use it. For shorts that are normally like the very easy YouTube shorts and like this particular stream, I'm just using my phone because it's got both, you know, the selfie camera and the other camera. But yeah, like I said, it depends a lot on what I'm filming and what cameras I have access to. When I first started doing YouTube, everything was filmed on the GoPro is definitely being wrecked by DJI. Because speaking of DJI, another camera, yeah, you've reminded me I use this one, Action 4. So again, that's a DJI one, the Osmo Pocket. This is like DJI's better GoPro. And one of these, I can't remember if it's the Action 4 or one of their other Action series. There's a video from Ukraine where a Ukrainian, it's mounted on the Ukrainian Su-25. The Su-25 gets shot down and like the pilot gets killed and everything. This survives falling to the ground, like recording the entire time from like the anti-air missile hitting the plane. So yeah, they're pretty fucking tough. You know, and these are nice because you can mount them with different things. It's got the slow motion. But yeah, and obviously I've got a webcam up there that if I want to record via the PC directly, I've got a webcam. But yeah, in all honesty, if I just had to have one camera that wasn't my phone one, I'd say this Pocket 3 is the most useful out of all of them, because it's the cool thing with this as well is like little bipod for it is actually a battery as well, so that increases the battery time. The actual thing is just this big, you know, and there's different ways of having this on stuff. But yeah, this is, in general, like I said, this is pretty useful because again, it does various video formats and things. Okay, yeah. Well, as in, you're meant to get the talc off of them for storage. That's interesting. You kind of wonder then if you're meant to take the talc off, why they bothered putting it on in the bloody first place. But if you mean the talc was on there to protect it in storage, then when you use it, you wash it off. Yes, I agree with you. That's normally how they used to do it. The talc is for long-term storage. Like to keep it dry, essentially, because it's baby powder. But yeah, so obviously, like I said, the worst quality thing, sadly, for YouTube is the one I use the most, probably this phone. But that's just because this directly works with the YouTube app. And a lot of the stuff now, like if I stream via this phone, it seems to promote the video more than if I do it via the PC using a better camera, if that makes sense. And, you know, so it's just down to shit like that, really, that, you know, I'm hoping the next phone I have has a bit of a better quality microphone in it and slightly better cameras. Because again, it's just one of the sort of annoying things that, you know, like going back to what I was saying to start with on YouTube, I always just used to use compact cameras of various sorts for my videos, as in, you know, the ones that, don't know how easy I can get into that drawer back there with the mannequin on top. Come on, you bastard. There we go. So either the smaller cameras or ones like this. because nearly all of these sort of cameras also have a record function. I used to always just do videos when I first started doing YouTube with these, because again, it was before the smartphone age. Everyone now would do it with a smartphone. So I always used to use either, like, you know, one of the little compact rectangular cameras and use the video record function, or one like this. And again, this would have much better video quality even still, even though it's probably 720p at best on this thing. But in terms of actual picture and lighting and that, much better than that. But yeah, the Osmo Pocket 3 is the best one I've got. But like I said, if you're one of those people that spends... If you just wondered what I was doing, look, I'm trying to open that drawer underneath the mannequin. He doesn't like it. Don't like it. That's just closed in well enough. I don't know, Classified. Canon and Sony both did very good cameras for ages ago, but again, I've not bought a new camera and done any proper photography stuff in years. I'm trying to think when the last time was I used that Canon. Probably around 2019, 2020, properly used it. Like, it's normally a sort of camera I'll take if I'm going out somewhere, like, you know, that's out in the wild somewhere and I want to get a load of really good photos. But like when I've been on holiday the last few years, I've not even bothered taking it because it's more bulk and weight, you know, it's more of a theft risk. You can take good quality photos now on a lot of smartphones. So I've probably missed a load of comments where I've been going on about cameras, but yeah, for most people, I think if you've got a good quality smartphone, that is just probably the best thing for YouTube now. Then yeah, I started this channel in 2012, Rat with Drip, and I've had older channels that have long since been deleted since before then, but 2012 would have been when I was 18. 2011 was when I was 18. So yeah, so I probably started this channel when I was 19. But yeah, in about April 2012, I started this channel. So yeah, I've been around quite a while. Yeah, it really annoys me sometimes when I'm doom scrolling inductive TK, because for every couple of good shorts you find so much AI bullshit, and not even the good AI slop that takes effort, like I'd make in Saw or whatever, or like, you know, those videos I did recently, the ones which is just like fake news, false information, AI ones. Camcorders are good. Like I said, the thing is that I try and don't have the best way of explaining it, but if I wanted to actually just use something for taking pictures, a camcorder or a camera are much better, like pictures and videos, because of how they work. The nice big optical lens that lets in lots of light, you know, the good proper manual zoom, because again, the thing that really annoys me is how with modern devices you don't get good optical zoom. Like the thing I really like about that bridge camera out there, or like SLRs, you can put a really good optical lens on for taking pictures, you know, that are really clear at like a few hundred meters away. And again, like the same with my camcorder's got a really good optical like zoom, maybe a 20x optical zoom. Can't remember, it's 10 to 20x, I think. But again, it's one that, you know, you'd be amazed how good that looks. But again, the problem is with smartphones, you basically don't have any optical zoom, if at all. You've only got digital zoom. Yeah, exactly right with Drip. Like I said, YouTube is my main income source at the moment, just because the last sort of manual job, like it's always been a hobby kind of thing, just talking about militaria and shit like that mostly. But it's one of those things where, you know, it's like, again, I enjoy doing YouTube stuff more than a lot of dead end jobs, but a lot of the time YouTube is the side thing, you know, is my more passion while I'm using the dead end job to actually stay afloat financially. I'm not going to buy it on release, Stoic Jedi, but I might buy it about a week after release if it ends up, you know, getting good reviews of people that I'd actually trust to review games, as in it's optimized and doesn't run like total shit when it comes out. It's not broken day one, you know, that kind of stuff. Yeah. Yeah, I might do a video, you're right, Saint, on the new virus, and do not poo, you know, put the poo in the loser. Again, unless they ban me eventually for racism to Indians or something. Even I'm not trying to be racist to Indians. I'm just saying that, you know, put the poo in the loo. All right, cheers, David. I appreciate it. But you're gonna what? Just gonna get? Yeah, you're gonna need. Might want to live in. It's like for a doomsday bunker, Saint, from the new poo virus. You might want to get a porta cabin toilet. You know, one of those porta potty things, and live in that. Have that as your like little bunker, like the preservation shelters from Fallout 3, the little Persky preservations, whatever they were called, that have a porta toilet one. Yeah, this is Android. I'm on a Chinesium phone, actually, because I'm on one of those Chinesium... I call them, like, builder phones. I don't know what the proper name is. This one's a Ulefone Armor 25T. But, you know, it's, like, the one that has a thermal camera in. The entire phone is, like, built way overbuilt, so you can drop it. Because, again, I've had smartphones and broken them before because I'm a clumsy person. So, you know, I think Ulefone had quite a nice new phone recently. Let me have a look at their, like, really modern one. Let's see how it compares to my one. So I want rugged phone. So I think their top end one at the moment must be the 29 Pro thermal. So yeah, let's have a look. So my phone is like the 25T. It's like an older version of one of these. Average creator, monkey invaded Ukraine. Keeps going, ook, ook, I'm gonna nuke. Prices of ROC posts went up massively. And also inflation, general cost of living in this country gets worse and worse. So my savings account, as opposed to going up each month, got to the point where it was going down each month. Now I've got to the point where I'm able to not really make any money per month, not able to lose any money. But the main point is it's, you know, the UK cost of living went up and boomers bought ROC posts thinking they could have them as their, like, top tier nuclear survival shelter in case monkey nukes them. And they fucked the market up for them, basically. Pulowski Preservation Shelter. Thank you, Rapper Drip. But yeah, this phone I haven't smashed. But anyway, I was talking about these phones. So if I go back to that, 1 second. So yeah, the phone, like, oh, I did post a link, didn't I? So yeah, my phone is the 25T, so it's older than this. I'm just going to see with this one how it compares to my one, the 25T. I just want to see on the specs. If there's one of those sites where you can do versus, yes. There we go. I just want to see, like, how the, you know, specs of everything change. So has 3.2%, 3.2 times more battery power, 10 gig more RAM, 16 gig versus 6. That's quite impressively different. 43% more megapixels, 64 MP and 50 MP, and 50 MP versus 64 and 50 MP. So they're the same technically resolution and just better, I guess, better quality resolutions. 12.2% faster CPU. Oh wait, no, it says the front camera is 50 MP versus 32 MP. So yeah, that is better. It has 512 versus 256 gig internal storage, but this is one of those phones you can stick an SD card in anyway, which I've done. Oh, a much higher frame rate, 2K, 2K at 30 FPS versus, oh, I see what, yeah. Sorry, 4K at 30 FPS, this is 2K at 30 FPS. This one can go up to. Wi-Fi 4, Wi-Fi 6E, Wi-Fi 6E, and Wi-Fi 5 versus Wi-Fi 4, Wi-Fi 5. So yeah, it's in general, this new one is much better than my current one. But yeah, I mean, I'm not in the market at the moment to buy a new phone, but yeah, again, I probably will just go with a Chinese rugged phone just because, again, I don't really care if she's spying on me that much. They are pretty damn good. The yeah, like I said, the other phone I like, it's just because I'm good at breaking phones. But for me, having one of these that lasts me a couple of years is a better investment than a smartphone that I don't even get to last a year. Because again, one of my other smartphones was in a quite good protective case, and it fell literally on, yeah, it's a good point, classified official, yeah. And it fell literally on the worst fucking possible place for breaking, you know, on the screen, where this one is quite good, like a Gorilla Glass screen and all that. But my last phone was one of those really annoying ones where, you know, I had the protective cover all around it that didn't protect the screen because I don't like the things that stop you interacting with your screen properly and make the screen look a funny color. And yeah, it just happened to land at the worst possible angle onto like a tiny little sharp rock or whatever it was that worked like me hitting it with a glass breaker like that. But yeah, you are right. I ought to buy one sooner rather than later. But yeah, but like I said again, real world life cost of everything. But yeah, but like I said, the other phones I've really liked. They've like I said, the Doogie, the other Chinese ones are fairly good, but the last Doogie I had didn't last me that long just because the USB-C port at the bottom broke. And again, I know that's kind of the thing you could have repaired, but still, it's because it's, again, that's the only thing I don't like with USB-C is it's quite a small fiddly little socket. So USB-C is very easy to sort of snap off if you know, a wire goes in a bit wrong. And I think with the Doogie one, it wasn't all that good to start with, as in the connection always felt a bit wobbly in it even from the beginning, and then I guess just over time that connection wore down. Again, as bulky as USB-A is, for example, at least USB-A is a quite solid, you know, good rectangular shape. Because again, yeah, the problem, like I was saying, with the USB-C stuff is if you like look at the end of that torch, that's USB-C, which you can't really see very well. There you go. And again, it's a very fiddly little plastic bit in the middle, if you see where like the little electrodes are on, like the copper wiring or whatever. So yeah, USB-C is one of those ones that, yes, I like we've got a universal connector everyone uses. It makes buying cables easy. I don't like how fucking fragile it is. Planned obsolescence, exactly, yeah. As I've said, Stoke John, it's one of those things that I would ideally like it a full-time job. But at the same time, bear in mind, with YouTube, you never really know what videos are going to do well and what aren't. So most recently, the video I got the most money from in a month was the Pathways parody, because that got like 200,000 views in like 2 weeks. Quite often I can do videos that where one does really well, do another video on a similar subject, people either don't get notified or don't want to bother watching it. Because that's the thing, like, so working a 9-to-5 job or whatever, you're getting paid minimum wage per hour or getting a salary. It's a stable income. But when you've spent that money, it's always gone. YouTube is good in the sense that it's normally, for me, it's like lower passive income, where, you know, a video I did years ago still makes a bit of, you know, money every month. So it's, but like I said, it's just real world reality, sadly, when it comes to a lot of things versus, you know, if everybody could be a creator and could get loads of money from it and, you know, live, all I want is actually enough to live off of it, you know, and again, housing isn't affordable in the UK, but just to, you know, live comfortably off of stuff like that. Yeah, exactly. Even micro USB, exactly like Rat with Drip, even micro USB is a lot more solid than USB-C. Like I said, I like the idea that we've got a connection everybody's settled on. I just wish it was a bit more durable than USB-C. Again, like I said, micro USB was the one, and again, I think another reason people like USB-C is because it works both way round. It's not one that's like, you know, most USBs where they have to be facing one way. But again, like micro USB, like on the PlayStation 5 controllers, whatever, that is quite a good solid port. I'm not shadow banned by the algorithm though, because I did, like I was saying, Classified Official a week or so ago, I did that Pathways piss take, and YouTube sent it to the front page, and loads of fucking people were on it commenting, even though it was a politically incorrect video. This phone has wireless charging. It's just wireless charging speeds are absolute shite. So I like having wireless charging because it means even on this phone, if the port ever broke on the bottom, I could actually keep this phone charged and usable. But yeah, the problem with current wireless charging, and I know it'll get better and better, is it's one of those things where if I put this on a wireless charger or some of the other phones I've had previously that have had wireless charging, like how long it takes to fill up however many percent of the battery is always much worse. So I find with wireless charging, you can't have it on the surface of a wireless charger and have it charge at a speed you can actually have the screen on a good brightness and carry on using it. But again, if it's a technology that gets better and better, good. I've probably said before, one of the best things that might ever happen with phone batteries, because I know people are looking into it, is having a radioactive battery. Because you could have a battery where the radiation, basically the idea they're going to use radio thermide electric generator type stuff, RTGs, where the idea is that the heat decay from the radioactive source that they put in the phone charges a battery that's heat, you know, like charges itself via heat. So because some batteries actually work better when they get hot as opposed to cold. So what these things do is rather than as your phone heats up as you use it and the radioactive source gives off heat, this thing converts that heat into an electrical current to refeed the battery. So RTGs in phones are one of the things that would be really good. But again, I think a lot of companies wouldn't like that for two reasons, or governments, because planned obsolescence, they wouldn't like the idea that you could have a phone that you wouldn't need to charge as much and, you know, would last a long time. They're not actually very expensive, really, if done right. I mean, the main thing is size, but I think that's what I'm going to get to. The main reason I don't think they're ever going to be used in phones is the risk of radiation. Like, you know, the idea that somebody punctures their phone or whatever, or just throws their phone away, and then you've got an orphan source somewhere. Yeah, it'd probably be strontium-90 they'd use in it. But again, yeah. The idea, I think, of a lot of the like phones, I know where the Chinese were looking into it, was that you wouldn't have something that you could keep the phone charged and always working with. It's not as like nowhere near as efficient as that if you put a bit of strontium-90 into it with all this stuff. But it does mean that, say you had your phone turned off, like in say you turned your phone off when you went to sleep, in 8 hours, even if you didn't have it plugged into a charging thing, you would recover some of the percentage of your phone's battery, because it would always constantly be trickle feeding its own battery. Yeah, again, and some of the reasons nuclear can't be improved is because so many people lobby against the better use of nuclear materials. But, oh yeah, and speaking of, I did get the book. I've got a video coming up on this, but a book I'm surprised you can still legally buy in the UK. I know it's probably mirrored for you there. Because, yeah, this one was published by Tempest Publishing Limited, $9.99. I think it might, did it cost me more than that? I'm not sure. But the reason why stuff like this is I think they wouldn't really like you having it. Now, well, let me click live on this now so I can see when I'm showing you guys how it looks on the screen, because it's be a few seconds delay. I'm just waiting for that to catch up. Again, it'll be mirrored for you, I'm afraid. Let me turn that the light back on. So, railway sabotage. The weight of explosive to be used in various demolitions can be calculated from the following formula: hardwood, softwoods, iron or steel, masonry. Different amount of explosives. But there were some of the other things. Homemade grenades. Again, don't know how well that's showing up. But yeah, this is a book. I am really fucking surprised the UK government does not have a fucking, doesn't have a fucking stroke if they know you own this one. It's because, like, Anarchist Cookbook, less useful information on the banned book list. You can technically own it, but if they ever arrest you for anything, they use it as an excuse to put a longer sentence on you. This thing, actual military training manual on killing people, issued to British sort of rear, echelon soldiers, the Home Guard in World War II in case of a massive German invasion. Yep, it's all about land navigation stuff, how to use rifles properly. Basically, like diagrams. There's one for the Webley revolver. There's ones for various guns in here. Stuff about like basic maneuvers, spying kind of things on field observations of enemy units. Making a sniper post that's hard to see, like where they've covered something in trash and they've got the little sniper dugout in there. But yeah, like I said, this was basically hygiene and sanitation's even included in there. Home Guard Manual 1941. So, Dad's Army. So for anybody that's in the UK, Dad's Army, as much as it's a comedy thing, this was the real deal. It was like a training manual. Because again, like the idea of Britain, for those who might be American or whatever and don't know all the history of it, what ended up happening, obviously, is at the very start of the war, before, especially because this is before Pearl Harbor, this sort of book, it's before America got involved in the war. Britain originally, obviously had the defensive agreement with Poland that Britain would go to war with Germany if Poland was invaded. Hitler invaded Poland. Britain and France declared war on Germany. For the first bit of the war, not much happened. The Germans were interested in Poland and all that, Eventually, the Germans completely fucking bum rush France and most of Western Europe. The evacuation of Dunkirk happens because the British troops get completely cut off that were the main land army. Luckily, nearly all those troops get rescued at Dunkirk, because if they were captured or killed, Britain would have been in an even really dire situation. But lots of heavy equipment was left behind, like tanks, and more heavy equipment. So what ended up happening was, obviously at the time we had an army, but lots of the equipment was lost. So rearming needed to happen and all that, which is why that although you had the North Africa stuff and other theaters going on, there was never that D-Day never happened until America got involved because of the huge scale of it and how many troops were needed and all that sort of thing. So it was very much expected that the Germans would be imminently invading. And then obviously you've got the Battle of Britain, and the idea was that if the Luftwaffe defeated the RAF, you would have had the Operation Sea Lion take place. Now, again, in reality, we probably know now from history, it's not like they knew at the time, that Operation Sea Lion would have been a fucking disaster for Germany if they did try it. Because what would have happened is, even if they had completely defeated the RAF and had air superiority, they'd have then had to the Kriegsmarine would have had to have defeated the Royal Navy, which the Kriegsmarine was shit compared to the Royal Navy, but let's assume they even just managed that. So Germany has naval and air dominance. They now need to do their own version of D-Day, but in reverse to Britain. Britain has loads of fucking people put on a tiny island, and the idea was you teach everybody how to be armed, how to know how to kill people, how to sabotage stuff, and then also Churchill wanted to use chemical and biological weapons on British soil to basically... Like I keep saying to people, I really want a film or a game set in an alternative history where the Germans actually launch Operation Sea Lion for some really fucking stupidly bleak, guerrilla warfare shit. I think what classified and official means is that the British had the Tubes alloy program, which was adopted into the Manhattan Project as part of the Manhattan Project, because Russian scientists worked in that as well, and then they later were the ones that fed a lot of the information back to Russia, so the Soviets could develop a nuclear weapon. Are you thinking of Rutherford, Ernest Rutherford? Because was he Kiwi, Ernest Rutherford? Hang on. New Zealand physicist and chemist. Because he was one of the main guys that Hans Geiger worked for when he developed the Geiger counter, Rutherford. Yeah, in atomic and nuclear physics. Yeah, so you're thinking of Rutherford, aren't you? Yeah, Rutherford was one of the main, because I was talking to a friend the other day about, the pioneers of radiation, so Röntgen, Becquerel, the Curies and stuff like that, and I said Rutherford's one that a lot of people forget about, but he was the one. Because I said he's the British guy that I'm pretty sure was an Aussie or a Kiwi, and yeah, he's a Kiwi. But yeah, but obviously he just, in general, because it was those countries were still part of the empire at the time, you sort of simplify it to saying they're British. Again, it's that shitty thing we do where if they did something good, we'll say they're British or whatever. If they did something that wasn't of any importance or bad, we'd say he was a Kiwi or whatever. Yeah, and they didn't actually know the proper thing. Even with Heisenberg being a genius and all that, he didn't know how to properly do a reactor. The Japs actually did fairly good research into nuclear stuff. But, yeah, just like Andy Murray, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, so, that's interesting, Devon. If you don't mind saying, where was that? But where were they planning on hitting? Mostly Dover and all the sort of south, or did they actually try and go for more the east, with say Norfolk and Suffolk or whatever? I don't actually know. But like I said, I would really like an alternative bit of media where Sea Lion properly gets launched, and then how horrific a war would be of you're a German, you're stranded on the British island after the Kriegsmarine can't keep up the supply runs or whatever, or evacuations, because you're being told to take stuff, and the Brits are throwing absolutely everything they've got at you. Oh, let's set the channel on fire by dumping napalm into it. Let's drop what was it, anthrax on them. Let's drop phosgene and chlorine on them. They had this cool vehicle. The Germans had the same thing. So you know what I'm on about, these little things. The Imperial War Museum has a picture of it somewhere. But it was called something like a muck spreader, the original version. It's one of those things that goes and sprays liquid shit, manure on stuff for fertilizer. And they'd converted those into chemical weapons throwers. So they had literally these ideas of that they could, if they were retreating, they'd have a tractor spraying chemical and biological weapons on all the soil they were falling back from. Yeah, you're thinking, yeah, I know the one, the cubes on the chains. Yes, I know the one you're thinking of. But yeah. But yeah, there's a funny story. I've heard it attributed to both radium and thorium, but I think it was more likely thorium, where the like American and British intelligence were really worried near the end of the war that apparently all of the thorium or radium, whichever one it was, had been stolen from France. And basically what they were worried about was they thought that the Germans had found some way of making either a dirty bomb or, like, you know, weaponizing it into a nuclear material bomb, you know, the radium or the thorium. And it turned out the Germans had looted all of it because they were using it in a radioactive brand of toothpaste. Yeah, so it's one of those things of, you know, they went to all of this effort of like, oh shit, they've taken all this material, they're going to do something bad with it, and it was for, it is for the toothpaste to give you the extra white shine before your teeth fall out and your gums bleed. Yeah, your teeth might shine while your gums bleed out, yeah. Britain developed, right, so the two ones I know of that Britain developed and I think America improved was, but America didn't really trade a lot of their knowledge and nukes for us because we got them through Windscale. And then, because we basically, America didn't want to share some of the nuclear secrets, but because Britain had enough people working on it, we made the Windscale factory, started making our own bombs. Although we didn't ever make the hydrogen bomb. I think this is what this is sort of coming down to, that Britain made fission bombs, essentially A-bombs. And then what Britain did is we tricked America into thinking we had a hydrogen bomb by making a fucking huge, just like boosted atom bomb. And because the explosion was big enough, America thought we had most of the fusion stuff anyway, when we then later on asked. It was also because of Sputnik and stuff like that. When Sputnik happened, whoever was the president at the time realized that really you ought to cooperate with your allies a lot more. Because, you know, otherwise the Soviets, if you play as just big America strong on their own, you know, the Soviets might get an advantage over you. But yeah, but one of the things that Britain did trade America for was both riot agents. So I think CN was built in Britain, but then America improved it to CS, I think. I'll have to look that up. But I'm pretty sure Britain invented a load of the riot control agents that are still designed today. And it might have been the early V series of nerve agents that Britain also came up with. Like, so again, it might be of America improved it to make VX, but it might have been VN or one of the weaker ones. And when I say weaker, and it's fucking V series nerve agent. But again, the Germans originally came up with it because the Germans made the G agents like Tabun and Sarin and Soman. But I think it was a case that then when we were looking at their nerve agents at Port and Down, we came up with you know, some of the V series, and then again we probably traded that. Let me have a look. V series nerve agents, and I will also look up CN gas. It redirects you to CS gas when I look up that. But anyway, nerve agent. So if I can find a history of it, because again, G agents are called that because they're called German agents after the war by West. Oh yeah, so here we go. The most studied agent in the family VX, it is thought that the X in the name comes from its overlapping isopropyl radicals, was invented in the 1950s at Porton Down in Wiltshire, England. Ranajit Ghosh, so he sounds like an Indian bloke. So there you go. We're talking, say, a positive thing about Indians. They developed one of the most dangerous nerve agents on the planet while working for the British. I get it for a name like Ranjit. But yeah. So yeah, that was probably one of the ones we traded for America with. But again, I think the Russians managed to develop their own V agents, didn't they? The best known of these is probably VX with VR, Russian V gas, yeah. So again, it's because again, a lot of this stuff with chemistry and that, if you know somebody else has found something, you can kind of tell your scientists to look at what they're probably doing and backwards engineer it. Because again, a lot of nerve agents were accidentally discovered from pesticides. Because, like, you know, like rage spray you use on wasps, that's like very, very weak nerve agent. Basically, it's because it shuts down all the neurotransmitters. It puts things to an always-on signal. I'm seeing if it says on here about it doesn't go into enough detail on the Wikipedia thing to be on about like the trading of them. If I just go on to VX and just see if on the full page of VX it has more the history. I won't be on for too much longer. I want to get some dinner in a bit, but I have the last of my Chinese takeaway from last night. As I'm saying, Discovery. Oh, so Britain, yeah, patented it as VG, and then it suddenly jumps to in 55 and 61, the US started production of it. So yeah, it's pretty shit on this Wikipedia thing, but I'm pretty sure it is, like you're saying, I think that's one where Britain discovered it, realized we could get some leverage out of America, traded it for something else. Now, we'll still have a look at riot agents, because I think the riot agents might have been designed some of those in. Yeah, here we go. CS was developed and tested secretly at Porton Down in Wiltshire, UK in the 1950s and 1960s. CS was used first on animals and subsequently on British Army servicemen volunteers. CS had less effect on animals because they have different tear ducts, and in the cases of non-human mammals, their fur inhibits the free entry of the gas. So yeah, it's both the chemical, the riot agents and the nerve agents. Yeah, basically Britain discovered them, those particular type, traded them with America probably for more nuclear stuff, or, you know, different weapons types and stuff. Yeah, and part of that was the brain drain, though, because a classified official, because part of the problem with a lot of the British stuff is that Britain was very poor after World War II. You know, in comparison, obviously, there were much, much poorer countries, but compared to, like, the British Empire, you know, because you've got the thing, obviously, where Britain was still the prominent, like, world power around the time of 1900 to 1914. America's kind of like the second or third most powerful or whatever. But then, obviously, where you have World War One and all of the European countries kill the shit out of each other, and America, because they don't start the war until near the end, don't lose near as much material from it. World War One makes all of the European empires a lot poorer, and then World War Two is what finishes them off, and that's when you get America that is suddenly like the world leader in everything, industry, money, you know, all that. And then it's very easy for America to just buy stuff from other people. And again, like with reverse engineering and that, as Rat with Drip's saying, that again, if you know that other people might come up with it anyway, either they discover it on their own or they might know that you've got it and then somehow get their hands on it, it's probably best that you just trade it or sell it while you've got the, you know, monopoly on it. And VR, I've got a Quest 2, I think it is, in the other room. I had the very old Oculus Rift and the Quest 2. Main problem here, this room is too compact and filled with all my junk and shit, so I can't do any VR games that require me to do big arm movements. I really liked Half-Life 2 VR, not Half-Life 2 Alex, the Half-Life 2 VR mod project. That is really, really fun. So yeah, the VR games I like mostly are the ones that, you know, you can play with the VR controllers and you can more use the controller to try an iron sight, and it feels more like you're naturally doing that with, you know, the VR controllers. But yeah, but yeah, like I said, the main issue is, as much as I would like to do VR stuff more properly, the room with my good computer in has got so much shit in it that when I tried playing games like Blade and Sorcery, I'd constantly just be smacking my arm into shit. I don't know if Stalker VR exists. I know there's some VR games that are rip-offs of Stalker that exist, but I don't know. I was on about World War One there, the Rat would drip. With World War Two, it was mostly because there was a lot of opposition to joining the war. And then obviously Pearl Harbor happened and America got pulled in regardless. Because, yeah, America would have been happy in World War II if they could have just stayed out and sold weapons to Britain and other countries. But obviously what happened was Japan attacked America because America had been sanctioning Japanese oil or whatever it was. And then Germany declared war on America as well because their ally Japan had attacked America. And then America says, right, fuck you then. And then there was a whole thing that they agreed with Britain that was victory in Europe first, because as much as Japan was the primary antagonist for America, Nazi Germany was like the big brains, you know, annoying one. And dealing with them first meant you could focus everything on Japan easier. Yep. Anyway, I will be off soon. I'll just see if there's any questions I missed that were ones that might interest people in me answering them. Yeah, Porton Down classified official was the place that they did human experiments and they lied to the soldiers, yeah, about a lot of the shit they were doing. So I think that bloke you're on about, I think they told him they were testing the cure for the common cold, put the nerve agent on him, and then obviously when it started killing him as expected, they didn't have the atropine or whatever handy that you're then meant to use. Even if they had the atropine right on hand, it's still a very fucking unethical thing, especially because they said to the bloke, oh yeah, we're just testing the cure for the common cold or whatever it was. But yeah, Porton Down is a dodgy as fuck place. It's like, you know, a very glowy kind of thing, you know. Like if you read up on some of America's history on radioactive testing, where they gave orphan black children radioactive stuff to see how much it affected them. You know, Quaker Oats was involved in that, by the way. I'm not making this up. You can look this up. Where they said, well, nobody cares about these black kids, and that nobody especially cares about black orphans. So let's give like one group of them radiation-laced oatmeal, you know, like porridge. The other group normal porridge, and we'll see which group starts dying off quicker and having all sorts of different defects. Was surprised it was the ones giving radioactive fucking isotopes in their porridge. And you also had the Tuscany or whatever it was called experiment, didn't you? Something like that, Tuscany experiment, where they gave black syphilis on purpose. That's another famous, like, fucked up US one. So again, it wasn't just the Nazis that did shit like this. We all did it. The Soviets did it. Britain did it. America did it. Japan was Unit 731. Christ, some of that stuff. Too much money equalizer, but the good news is a lot of that stuff I can resell and it's inflated with the price of inflation sort of thing. So, you know, a lot of my stuff I could resell now, get, you know, whatever it cost me in a day, more money back for it now today, you know, so I've not, you know, it goes up with inflation. But again, I do this year, before I look for another job properly, I do need to start clearing out a lot of my shit and listing and selling a lot of my stuff, even if I'm not listing it for full value. Just because I want to clear up a load of stuff and tidying it up. Because, you know, especially the stuff I don't do YouTube videos on as much. Yeah, let me just quickly, before I go off again, Google it, thing. US oatmeal radiation. Again, Google is so shit now compared to what it used to be, where it's now going like, oh, you mean is oatmeal radioactive? No, I don't. US human radiation experiments. Unethical human experimentation in the United States. Here we go. Right, so on this one, oh yeah, Tuskegee is at the very top of this article. But all right, go down to I'm just going to control F radiation. Oh, there we go. Human radiation experiments. They have a page on it. If I read from this one, because it's actually the bit we want. Right. So let's read some of the bits they did just out of interest. There's lots of books written about all these sort of shit, but in a 1949 operation called, and this reminds me a lot of the MK Ultra stuff as well, the Green Run, the US Atomic Energy Commission released iodine-131 and xenon-133 into the atmosphere near the Hanford site in Washington, which contaminated a 500,000-acre area containing 3 small towns. And if you don't know, iodine-131 is the reason you're meant to take iodine tablets after a nuclear disaster type thing, because it will give you thyroid cancer. So yeah, that was nice of them, wasn't it? In 1953, the AEC ran several studies at the University of Iowa on the health effects of radioactive iodine in newborn and pregnant women. In one study, researchers gave pregnant women between 100 and 200 microcuries, 7.4 milli, is that becquerels of iodine-131, and later performed abortions to study the woman's embryos in an attempt to discover at what stage and to what extent radioactive iodine crosses the placental barrier. In another study, they gave 25 newborn babies who were under 36 hours old and weighed from 5.5 to 8.5 pounds, iodine-131, either by oral administration or through an injection, so they could measure the amount of iodine in the thyroid glands, and iodine would go to that gland. Don't you love what governments do to their own people? In another AED study, researchers at the University of Glasgow College of Medicine fed iodine-131 to 28 healthy infants through a gastric tube to test the concentration of iodine in the infant's thyroid glands. In 1953, the AEC sponsored a study to discover if radioactive iodine affected premature babies differently from full-term babies. In the experiment, researchers from Harper Hospital in Detroit orally administered iodine-131 to 64 premature and full-term infants who weighed from 2.1 to 5.5 pounds. Again, it goes on and on and on. And that's just iodine. We've got uranium, we've got plutonium. So uranium, between 1946 and 1947, researchers at the University of Rochester injected uranium-234 and uranium-235. 235, by the way, is the one used in nuclear bombs and nuclear reactors, in dosages ranging from 6.4 to 70.7 micrograms per kilogram of body weight, into 6 people to study how much uranium their kidneys would tolerate before becoming damaged. I'm just seeing if I can find a one about them giving the kids the radioactive cereals. Then there's all the plutonium ones, again, where they injected people with plutonium. Most of this, very poor black people or other poor people that wouldn't be missed. They wouldn't do it to rich people or upper middle class people. They always do shit like this to the poorest people that can't complain. Let's have a look. Experiments involving other radioactive materials. Immediately after World War II, researchers at the Vanderbilt University gave 829 pregnant mothers in Tennessee what they were told were vitamin drinks that would improve the health of their babies. The mixtures contained radioactive iron, and the researchers were determining how fast the radioisotope crossed into the placenta. 4 of the women's babies died from cancer as a result of the experiments, and the women experienced rashes, bruises, anemia, hair and tooth loss, and cancer. This is the one I was looking for. From 1946 to 1953, at the Walter E. Fenrod State School in Massachusetts, in an experiment sponsored by the U.S. Atomic Energy Commission and the Quaker Oats Corporation, the fucking Quaker man, the Quaker Oats man, 73 children were fed oatmeal containing radioactive calcium and other radioisotopes to track how nutrients were digested. The children were not told they were being fed radioactive chemicals. They were told by hospital staff and researchers that they were joining a science club. The list just goes fucking on and on and on and on. Oh, and they also did all the fallout research as well, where they'd detonate the bombs upwind. Is upwind, isn't it, if you're downwind or something? So upwind of like a place, and see what happened to the people downwind of the nuclear explosion. And then told them it's nothing to worry about. A little bit of fallout doesn't hurt anyone. Right, getting rid of the person asking a legal question. And the main answer to that is you can't if you're doing stuff sensibly. Hello, Glowy. Goodbye, Glowy. Equalizer C has a mate that some of his house looks like the army supply depot a bit. But who's the Nicholas that's the greater good is for? Oh, Hot Fuzz, of course. Sorry, like it's greater good, I thought, but yeah. Nicholas Angel. Nicholas Angle, yeah. The greater good, yeah. Tripped and fell on his own uranium. Yeah, it's probably YouTube censoring whatever you said, classified. But yeah, if people want to read this, I need to bookmark this page for when I cover it in videos in the future. Because I do love talking about how evil governments are towards their own people. This is very much a Dankula style video, isn't it, if you to cover stuff like that, because he does a lot of that. This has got MK Ultra and bits of it as well, but yeah. Look outside from window. What do you mean, Unrick? I don't have a window in this. I mean, there's a curtained window there, but you can't see... Or do you mean what they told the people? What they told the people that look outside when the fallout comes, or are you trying to do some weird message like I'm stalking you outside the house? Right, goodbye, Yunrak. You're being another weirdo. Look outside. No, don't think I will. I'm not getting up and leaving the stream before the end because some retard's telling me to go look outside your window, look outside, look outside. Project Sunshine, Google it. I think I've heard of this one, but let me have a look. Might be a threat. Yeah, I've just blocked him. I've had 2 weirdos come on in a row, so it might be in there trying to raid the stream. If they are, I'm going off in a minute anyway. So Project Sunshine was a series of research studies that began in 1953 to ascertain the impact of radioactive fallout on the world's population. Yeah. Oh, strontium-90 was involved in that. My favourite isotope. I mean, I don't know if strontium-90 is my favourite isotope. I do have quite a lot of it, because strontium-90 is quite easy to buy as a civilian. That's why I like strontium-90. But anyway, I will be off in a minute. If I want to look outside, I can get my CCTV cameras up. I don't need to get out of this chair. I mean, I could do that right now for you if you like. Right, let's just get the front and back CCTV up. Hang on. Out the front, there is nothing. There is some parked cars as usual. The other one, nothing. Oh, wow, what a surprise. It was some weird troll making an ominous rap. I'd rather have more likes and viewers, because the thing is people come on and go off these streams. So if you've got more likes than you've currently got viewers, it means that, you know, everybody has liked it so far or whatever. If I found somebody outside, what would you mean? Because there's a public road outside my house. You know, if somebody was actually stood out in the road, they can do that. It's just a public road. Sadly, I reckon the pepper ball bit, like the paintball with pepper balls, would be the illegal bit in the UK. But yeah. Oh, I've been swatted before. Well, I mean, I didn't actually get swatted because the police did it sensibly and they just knocked on the door. I've been live for ages, Rajiv, and I'm going off in a minute because you always do this. I've been on an hour and 40 minutes. But yeah, like I said, I had the police called on me because some guy got butthurt about my opinions on something or whatever, and he knew my address through because he previously sold me something and whatever, you know. So basically, he had my address on record. He kept my address in case he ever wanted it to blackmail me. Ended up giving it to the police and telling them that I was making a dirty bomb or something like that, hoping they'd kick my door in and shoot me. And he sent those messages to other people, and I got sent them back, so I know that's what he wanted. Anyway, one officer turned up. That particular officer realized very quickly his time was being wasted and he was bored. I was like, oh, do you want to go look through all my stuff? And he's like, no, I'm fine, thanks. So yeah, the police, that was the last I heard of that. Then they started putting out my address and all that publicly because, you know, they were trying to blackmail me for money or whatever it was. And then I just basically gave the police their details saying, look, they're doxing me and all this, you know. Here's their details back for you, you know, if you want to, if anything happens, basically. I don't know. I know one of the people involved, not the main one that did it, but one of his mates that was encouraging him got done for being a nonce. Actually, like, you know, he got done for actually having violent CP of little boys. So, you know, they are always the scummiest, fucking weirdest people possible, these kind of people. Because, again, somebody who is a well-adjusted, sensible person doesn't go, oh, let's get somebody swatted, do they? It's never somebody that's a well-adjusted, normal person. You know, it always turns out to be the fucking dregs that do this stuff. But yeah, like I'm saying with me, it's like, that's why, again, like I said, even though I didn't want to get rid of the blank guns, I had to get rid of my blank guns when the ban came in, because I've got a YouTube channel. I'm high profile enough that they know I've got them. I don't ever want to be in a scenario where somebody can call, like, do a swatting type thing to me, and then I've got something illegal. That's all right, Rajiv, it was a while ago. But the silver lining to that was, whenever any companies that then later on said, do you want to get a free sample of a product or whatever, a random fan said, can I send you something? Because I've publicly been doxxed, I said, well, yeah, my address is out there anyway for people that want to look it up. Yeah, I was like, so if you want to send me freebies now, yeah, here's my address. Yeah, exactly. It's like, I was watching the Asmongold video on it yesterday, but I knew about all this when it happened, when the Save a Fox girl killed herself because she was like bullied non-stop online, and then those same people started like fucking with her real life by, you know, like trying to turn her family and friends against her. What, you told the story above, or was there another? If there's, oh, Rajab said, it's funny how we always complained about police unarmed in the UK, but during lockdown, a pair came through my house with permission with automatics to raid a neighbour's. That's kind of interesting. I don't know if the police came through my house with automatics, if I'd be kind of like, ooh, just try and nick that out your holster. Like, that'd be a very stupid thing to do, but you know. But yeah, I'd be like, oh, can you leave me some freebies if you're doing that? What, who woke up? I don't remember going to bed with you, you said to the copper. And they said, no, we're here for your uncle. Oh, I didn't give you consent. He hasn't been here for 7 years. Yeah, but you have to, the thing is, right, because I'm not, because again, yeah, she left like her own orphan kid and that by doing that. Space movie. But the thing you have to understand is people that aren't mentally well aren't mentally well. And that's the thing. I can never blame somebody that kills themselves, even though I think it is selfish for doing it, because you don't know what's going on in their head. And I would always blame the person that bullies somebody more like that than the person himself, if that makes sense. Because that's the thing. I just think it's really shitty if somebody's dead, basically, like that, to say, oh yeah, they did a shitty thing and left their kids and all that. Like, yeah, they did, but you don't know what they went through, you know, that's the thing. And a lot of people do have a breaking point. And if you're non-stop being hounded online and having your real life fucked with, and, you know, and then you're not mentally 100% there anyway, you might have addiction problems, whatever, you know, that can be the thing that pushes you over the edge. Freebie, like getting given something for free, getting a gift, David, that sort of thing. So, like, what I mean by a freebie is if, like, somebody wanted to send me something as, like, a gift for me because they like my videos, and normally I'd be like, well, I'd have to have a P.O. box because I don't want to give my address out and stuff like that. Having a P.O. box costs a certain amount of money per year. Suicide. I assume you mean suicide. And yeah, it is fucked up. I know people that have killed themselves, you know, where you don't have much of a warning beforehand. It's just funny. I'm not trying to laugh because you said sewer slide, like somebody sliding into a river of poo. Like back to where we were on about the Ganges earlier. But yeah, it's like I said, I've known people that killed themselves. And a lot of the time, it's not just one factor. Oh, a freebie, as Rajab means somebody giving you a bit of a free go, or like a prosy giving you a freebie. Yeah, exactly, because that's the thing. It's like an anomaly glitch said, hello, I'm going to be going off and like so. But that's the thing when it comes to like self-harm and all that sort of stuff is when somebody's desperate and in need, the worst thing I think a lot of people do is kick them when they're down. And I think that's the thing. A lot of people, you know, just need a bit of support on that. But again, you don't know what they're going through. Some people get depression because even though they might live the best life possible, they've got like bad chemical imbalances going on in their brain, you know, and they might need SSRIs or whatever else to fix it, you know. They can't just fix it by living a, you know, does that make sense? Like, you know, because again, that's when I was younger, I used to think that. I was like, why could some people be unhappy when they had a job making loads of money, had like a wife and kids and that? But yeah, with some people, they can just be depressed and it's completely out of their control because something isn't chemically right with their brain, you know, and they need something to. Really sorry to hear that, Brown Stick Studios, but yeah. But like I said, I know people, again, like I said, I've told this story before. A guy I went to school with, and I always considered a good bloke, some, you know, stuff like that. Didn't consider him a bad bloke. He ended up killing his family and killing himself. And, like, yeah, that is fucked up. But then, obviously, a lot of stuff came out afterwards, and when a lot of people were, you know, shitting on his name and all that afterwards, it turned out that he'd been sexually abused, you know, for a lot of his life by, like, shitty partners his mum had and all stuff like that. His mum was a drug addict, and I think at just one point something happened. He snapped, you know, probably did it in a fit of rage in a very short period of time, realized what he did, couldn't take it back, killed himself. And one of my mates' younger brother killed himself. And again, I don't want to get too much into it because you know, it's private for him, although a load of other people knew about it before he even told me about it, funnily enough. You know, like gossipy type people. But yeah, I guess his younger brother must have had, you know, like some emotional problems and stuff like that. And, you know, his brother lived with his mum. He didn't personally live with his mum, so he wasn't there, you know, if his brother wanted to talk to him about it. And then, yeah, he'd killed himself. Yeah, I definitely think institutions should still be around. Not ones where people are treated horribly, Rajiv, like, you know, a one flew over the cuckoo's nest kind of thing. But yeah, good quality asylum should be a real thing because, again, there's lots of people that should not be released into the community if they are in a really bad way. Yeah, it's horribly anomaly glitch. I've tried before, and thankfully, it didn't work how I tried it. But that was. I don't want to go too much into this because I know YouTube will get really shitty about talking about it, and I'll probably rather talk about it more in a different video that's dedicated to it. But I did one of those things once where, even though it was a place where, you know, when I was in a much better frame of mind, could see a way out of it. Like, you know, when I say way out, I mean, you know, dealing with your problems properly. You sometimes can get into a situation where just too much stress over too long a period. Thank you, Rajiv. I appreciate that. But yeah, people can just get into scenarios where too much shit for too long. And often it's lots of little things that just wear you down. And then you might have one bad thing that happens, and that's like the straw that breaks the camel's back. And for me, it wasn't like I went out and thought, right, I'm going to try and offer myself now. I started drinking first, drinking more and more, then thought, oh, I'm pretty drunk now. I'm feeling a bit depressed anyway. Let's take a load of other shit with some other chemicals. And yeah, thankfully didn't work. Was very, very ill for a period. Wasn't on YouTube for that period. Have explained that to some people, though I haven't really said it like this before. And yeah, that's why I wasn't on. So yeah. But yeah, that's the thing, random users, like I said, with those places. Yeah, that's why anomaly glitch, I personally try and stay away from drinking. Like I said, I can do it if I'm doing it socially to have a good time with people. I can control myself. I can do it sensibly. If I'm drinking alone, that's when I'm more likely to use it as a coping mechanism, as a, you know, crutch, and it doesn't go well. But yeah, like I said about mental hospitals, yeah, a lot of them were bad. People there should be treated as dignified adults and that. But again, we hear about a lot of the ones in the UK, even where we have these kind of sheltered facilities where, like, somebody goes there because they had a failed suicide attempt, and then that person manages to kill themselves while under the, you know, went to be under the protection of the people there. And you hear a lot about like teenage girls and boys that do that, and it is really sad. I'm doing a lot better now, Devon. I'm not doing the job I was doing before. A lot of it was like just other shit in my life was getting compounded by a job, which was non-stop stressing me out. Yeah, but like I said, yeah, again, Rajiv, costs too much now, doesn't it? And all that sort of stuff. Like I said, I like doing it socially with people where I can moderate it and drink similar amounts to other people, and you're enjoying it, having a good time. And again, but just buying it for my own use, it never ends well. So, yeah, it's going up again, another reason not to do it, like everything in this country. Yeah, so like I said, I can have the gluttony of eating too much unhealthy food, because I might look a bit fat if I'm sad. I'm not really too fat, in all honesty, but the most, again, what do you mean, like the most units you've had at once, or David, or the most percent of alcohol? Because I've drunk 95% Polish vodka / whatever spirit that is, where it literally burns your throat. Like, it's a very cheap mixer essentially, but when I was in Poland, I bought back some 95 points. My stream went down for a second there, almost like YouTube was taking it down. Might be because I've been talking about self-harm type stuff, but because YouTube just does not like you talking about that, even if it's to help people. It's probably similar to Everclear Brown Streak. Let me have a look, because I don't think we get Everclear in the UK. Yeah, it's literally Everclear, that stuff then. A grain alcohol distilled from corn or grain, yeah. So it's like the Polish probably vodka rather than... You can't have 100% alcohol, can you? Because like I think you can get 99.9% because alcohol will evaporate on its own. When I probably tried to offer myself, it was probably over 100 units. And again, that's not just cans of beer, that's spirits or whatever else. Okay, I didn't know that. I didn't know if all vodka had to be potatoes or whatever. But yeah, so like I said, I've had a lot of periods where if I've thought about how many units I must have had, yeah, I think in my worst possible time of drinking, when I tried to get rid of myself, that would have been probably well over 100 units. And weirdly, I've never had any like liver failure type issues or anything like that from drinking too much. I've just had, you know, blackout drunk and then, you know, very, very bad feelings. So, yeah, anyway, I'd like to end the stream on a slightly higher note than any of the depressing stuff. So, is there anything good we can talk about? I haven't even looked at the news at all today. Is it all about Epstein? Oh, the top stuff's about Epstein. Have you been reading the crazy, crazy stuff coming out in these files? That because what I was going to say regarding these files, there is one particular thing. Not one thing, but you know how all these old conspiracy theorists of all the lizards and the pizza parties and all this, turns out they were probably fucking right. Oh, I need to get my chat back up in the tab window, don't I? Oh yeah, the Norwegian royal family are linked in, aren't they? Or something like that. There was also stuff about people potentially being whacked, and Epstein being involved, and like Epstein being like a go-between between Mossad, the CIA, and MI6 and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, it's just one of those. You know, it's just one of those sort of things. So. Oh, you fixed your car's engine. That's good news. Yes, the Comet ping pong and all that. Yeah. I mean, I very much doubt Helena Troy was black. Again, if they're trying to do a proper like historical version of the Odyssey, she should look like Greek or Phoenician or whatever they were. And yeah, also they had the pedo squiggle, didn't they? That turned out to be a real thing. That was something that was basically, you know, that used to be a joke conspiracy, and then there was more and more stuff about that. Oh yeah, so use the proof system in the US, right? We use percent. So if I remember right, like 5, so like 10 proof would be 5%, I think, isn't it? Isn't like proof double the percent? So Everclear, if that's 95%, that would be, ooh, that's a hard number to do. So 100% would be 200 proof, wouldn't it? So it would be like high 190 proof, wouldn't it? Everclear, something like that. Yeah, so 190. So yeah, Everclear is 190, right? Yeah. So yeah, we use percent in the UK, but yeah, proof is literally double a percent. Yeah. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so that's a very easy system to at least translate between proof and percent. The reason I like the percent one, because I don't know how well it works for your units, because I don't know if it's because percent is more of the metric one. So with the UK one, say, if you have something that's 10% alcohol, 1 litre of it would be 10 units. So if you say had a litre of 40% vodka, that would be 40 units of alcohol in that 1 litre bottle. So it's quite an easy system to like work out how much you're drinking from that. What's a negative 100, negative 300? Sorry, I've missed that. Oh, like your own moonshine, yeah. Bathtub distilled moonshine or whatever, yeah. Oh, well, they don't say minus, what they say negative a number rather than minus a number. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, like I'm saying, proof is literally just double the percent number. So yeah, it's very easy to convert between them, yeah. Oh, Budder Slayer says for 125k subscriber special, wear a GP5M gas mask for an entire live stream. I could do a gas mask entirety live stream one, although I would definitely use a more comfortable mask than that fucking one. Because to do it on a live screen and read the chat properly, I'd have to do it with my C50 on with my glasses insert for my C50. Like I said, they're not the proper inserts you have to spend a load of money on and then get your prescriptions put in. They're just my old glasses with the arms taken off because they sit well enough in the mask that, you know, as long as you center them each time you put the mask on, they're not going to slip around once you've got your head in the mask. But yeah, I'm not going to do it with a GP5. At least if I do it with the C50, I can read people's comments because I can see them and you'll hear what I'm saying because it has a proper voice diaphragm on it. Yeah, exactly, equalizer. Yeah, so I know exactly what you mean by it now. Yeah, but Oh, what you mean, a drinking tube? Yeah, again, if I do that, I wouldn't use it with this bottle like I normally do when I'm drinking from a live stream. But yeah, if I need to drink the C50, I can connect to my Camelback with the really good adapter for it. Quite a few masks let you do glasses inserts. That's been a thing ever since World War II. How some nations used to do it, though, is they'd have glasses like this, and then rather than having arms on, they just have an elastic style strap. So, you know, a bit like an elastic bandy kind of strap. Although it'd be more like the, you know, if you imagine elastic, like, you know, like if you had suspenders / braces, you know, those kind of things. So basically they had that kind of stretchy elastic, and the idea was that that would be flat enough that the mask would still seal to your face, because it's not a weird like rectangular or rounded shape like the glasses. But yeah, in theory you could put probably an elastic band if it was a strong enough one around some old glasses, like where I've got, say, this Soviet, down he goes, like this is way too big. This is obviously a Soviet tourniquet. But yeah, like this kind of thing, this would also work if you had, say, one end of the glasses clipped to each of those, you know, and then you stretched it like that. You'd obviously want it at a thing where it's not too, you know, not too much tension on your head. But yeah, when I've seen the spectacle kits for British and German World War II masks, they've always been like just regular elastic looking things. So Buddy says, quick question. One of my friends said that the GP5 gas mask in black rubber was specifically made for the military. No, because the military mask is called the Shum 41. They didn't use the GP5. They used the Shum 41. The GP5 is technically, isn't it, the Shum 62, I think is the name of the GP5. GP5 is purely a civilian mask. Apply a tourniquet. What? I don't know, Rajiv, off the top of my head. Oh, what is it, like in The Last of Us at some point when they put a tourniquet on? I did see a video regarding these tourniquets, though. I don't know. I was going to say Last of Us maybe when they're doing the bit with the compound fracture on the girl's arm and they cut her arm off. But where one Mobic had tied up another Mobic with his like arms and legs like that into one of these, tied him from a tree branch, and then they were beating him with a dildo like a piñata. Because Russians. So yeah, there was a video I was watching the other day of just Russian brutality. Of yeah, so some Mobic that they'd tied like this, you know, like that, hung him upside down. So these support the full weight of a man. I didn't really realize that. Yeah, and then they had a rubber dildo, and they were just smacking the shit out of him with a dildo. I think a lot of the time they were hitting him really hard in the balls of it, so it was he was really, really screaming in pain. I can't link you to those type of videos on it. It was clothed and it wasn't naked, but you know, there's so many videos of like Russians that like, you know, are accused of desertion or some minor thing, being forced to either perform some sort of act on another man, or you know, being horrifically beaten or like tied to a post in freezing cold. Again, if you're a Mobic meat army and you need troops to try and take ground, the best possible thing you can evidently do is just kill your men before they ever get to the front line by doing shit like that to them. That was just on X, Stabby McStabwood. You know, X, formerly known as Twitter, because you can watch uncensored videos from Ukraine posted by either side on there. Or opening... Is that the opening? Don't you mean the end of Casino Royale, Rajiv? What, where he's whipping him under the chair? Where Mads Mikkelsen, or whatever it is whipping Daniel Craig's balls. In that weird scene where he cuts the bottom of the chair off. Yeah, I know the one you're on about, David. Didn't watch that, but yeah, some fucking savages where, yeah, they get the POWs, don't they? And then they castrate them before shooting them or whatever. Gas mask tier list. Well, you already know what my current favourite mask is. And any of the ones I don't own, I can't really say if they're any good or not. Oh, yeah, we won't even go into the discussion of what cartels use to people. I did see an interesting blowtorch video from the cartels. But yeah, we're not going to fucking turn this into a torch porn stream, and I'm off in a minute anyway. We're meant to be making this more fun, you know, because a man getting beaten by a dildo isn't as bad as some of the stuff we were discussing. Anyway, what else is in the news? I'll just have a look on the Telegraph because the BBC's main thing is, hey, Mr. Epstein. Mandelson tried to change bankers' bonus policy at Epstein's request. Oh, no. Bitcoin wipeout erases entire Trump-era gains. Cryptocurrency tumbles as US president fuels geopolitical uncertainty. Okay. Starmer claims botched Brexit damaged economy. Well, it did, but if they did Brexit properly, we might have actually seen some benefits to it from now. But they just did the worst bits of Brexit without any of the positives because they wanted it to fail. Zach Polanski, the weirdo from the Green Party, says, I have never drunk alcohol. Zach Polanski, who is advocating relaxing the law around legal drugs, I agree with that, said he has never taken drugs or drunk alcohol in his life. But this is the man that says he can hypnotize women into their boobs being bigger. So high on drugs, soft on Putin. Yeah, he is, because he's one of those lefties that thinks all of the nasty regimes around the world must only be bad because of our current political thing. And, you know, then, like, again, it's like with Iran, how you can see Iran, like, maybe killed 20,000 protesters over the course of a week or so and then be like, oh, they must be really good people, really, because they're not on our side. It's like, yeah, our government's shit and their government's shit. And I think their government's even more shit than our one. Oh, yeah, and sledgehammer-wielding robbers raid London jewellers in daylight. I saw that because London becoming more and more of some Mad Max dystopian Death Wish 3 sort of film. Yeah, just gangs of criminals going around with sledgehammers, smashing up jewelers in broad daylight and taking stuff because police aren't going to show up for that. They're too busy arresting people for tweets. Otherwise, not much of interest on the news there. So anyway, I'll go back to the chat and say goodbye to you guys in a second because you like my accents, thank you. Panzer Chocolade. I actually have some Panzer Chocolade because you can still buy it. You can buy it. I have got the blue version, yeah, the blau, not the red version, because they still make it. It is the caffeinated chocolate. Yeah, the Panzer Chocolate. What's the actual name of that? It's I've annoyingly a load of mine. I don't know where it fucking is because I bought a load. You know, it's like a box of 10 or something. I had a few of the tins. And then the rest of them, like my dad must have put away in a cupboard somewhere. They're now probably long since out of date because he loves doing it. German caffeine chocolate. Coca-Cola, that's it. Coca-Cola. That sounds like Coca-Cola. It's nothing to do with Coca-Cola. But yeah, it never had meth in, by the way. That's one of the, where people call it Panzer chocolate and that. It never, ever had meth in it. So the reason people think that, yeah, I have the blue version. That's milk chocolate, isn't it? Even though the red one's the famous one. Yeah, so it's because Panzer chocolate in World War II was a slang name for meth. And you could also get the caffeinated chocolate that was known as Panzer chocolate as well. That, you know, contained caffeine, a caffeinated chocolate. But, yeah, the actual... like the actual meth Germany had was called pervitin, wasn't it? Pervitin, something like that. Not like pervert, but like pervitin, previtin, something like that. I think it's pervitin. It was also known as aviator chocolate, apparently. It says on this thing there. But yeah, the actual Panzer chocolate is apparently just a slang word for meth with the pervitin, rather than it being a case of, yeah, pervitin, yeah. Yeah, I agree, Stabby. Although I think the thing is, if you are allowing it for personal use, there should be a place where people can get it, where it is regulated and then potentially taxed, so you know the exact doses people are getting in it and everything like that. Because part of the problem with criminal distribution and that is you don't know what it's being laced with and everything else, which is why a lot of people die from fentanyl in the US, because they've got other drugs that then become laced with fentanyl, or they're buying what they think is a certain purity of it and then it's not. Oh, that sounds a bit shit, brown streak, but okay. Sea salt, green and blacks. Like crisps. Or like something else. Oh, it'd be chocolate, wouldn't it? If Roger was saying 85% dark. Yeah, my dad really likes dark chocolate. I don't. I like white chocolate and milk chocolate. Oh, I'm really sorry to hear that, Stabby. Yeah. Were they actually Fent users, or was it something else laced with it? Because from what my understanding is, the problem with all the Fent shit in America is that basically it's being mixed with nearly everything because it's so much of a cheaper, like, bulking agent or whatever else. So it's one of those cases of it being that, you know, you either think you're getting one thing and it's got Fent in, or if you think you're getting Fent, you don't know the concentration. Because, for example, car fentanyl is like either 50 or 100 times stronger than normal fentanyl. Laced products, yeah. So, because from what my understanding is, Stabby, obviously, it used to always be heroin, right? People took, and that's still very popular in the UK with, like, say, Scottish junkies, and things like that. And what the problem was that at some point in the US, because obviously fentanyl being stronger and fully synthetic, it's much cheaper to mass produce and everything, and smuggle and all that sort of stuff. What ended up happening is that the Fent was essentially ended up being used to bulk up heroin to begin with to make it cheaper, because rather than it being, you know, like proper from the opium poppy heroin, basically heroin is morphine that's concentrated, and then, you know, but they ended up bulking out the heroin with fentanyl, and I think that's what led to a lot of the deaths initially, because you've got something that's like 50 times stronger than heroin in the heroin you're using. So if you're somebody that's chasing a dragon that wants to get pretty close to overdosing anyway, to you know, getting to a really relaxed Zen kind of state with heroin, if it then turned out that a third of that heroin you'd say injected was fentanyl, wow, then you're fucking well over the edge. Wow, they fucking put in weed. It's like, this is the fucking crazy thing with that. Like, this is why I'm really glad I've actually had fentanyl, right? This is going to sound really weird, but I've had it twice in a medical use when I've been put under, like, as anesthetic, and then it's kind of like when you're coming back round, they give you a tiny bit of it to keep you sedated and out of pain. Well, yeah, well, I mean, with morphine, the thing is, like, so with the opium plant, you get codeine and morphine are the only two, like, medically used ones that come from it. But then what happens with morphine is, like, you get heroin from it because it was named by Bayer, because it made them feel heroic when they used it, so they named it heroin. The Germans, when they came up with that. But also, yeah, there's lots of other they call semi-synthetic things like heroin. It's basically where you take morphine and then you do lots of you know, variations to it. Yeah, I've heard about that, Kevin. I think that's one of the ways they actually give it you in the UK as well. If you have it, if you're prescribed it because you, like, have terminal cancer or something, that's how they give you the lollipops for that. Yeah, because I assume that you can't suck them faster than a certain thing, and you can't exactly easily swallow the. You're thinking of Novocaine, aren't you, classified official? But yes, Novocaine was one of the cocaine variants that used to be used for dental anesthesia. Yeah, but obviously the main cocaine is a stimulant. And then, yeah, they used to use nitrous oxide, laughing gas. And I was seeing a thing recently about American kids, because there's, even when we used to have kids, and I've done it before, I'll be honest, took the whipping cream sort of oxide, nitrous oxide. I saw there was some American brand that was blatantly doing we're only making this for kids to get high on, where it was like some giant fucking squirty tube like that you could put in your mouth and then use to so, like, we just had the little tiny, like, capsules like that look like CO2 cartridges that you'd fill up a condom with and then suck out a condom, clean condom, obviously newer, or, like, you know, a little party balloon. You just do fill it up and then go off the balloon, because you couldn't, you know, do the canister right into your mouth. Galaxy gas, yes, that's it, because that was the brand of it, wasn't it? But yeah, that exact stuff. But we never in the UK had it as stupid as Galaxy gas, where they made it blatantly as a dog whistle for, we know what you're doing with it. Probably a lot more people would have died if we'd have known that. We had to do it where you had to buy a multi-pack of the little things, you know, fill up a little balloon and then you suck the air out the balloon. Crocodile, I didn't know it was because of that, but I know crocodile turns people into fucking ghouls. Yeah, I've seen some fucking videos of Russians and images of them rotting alive where they've had crocodile. Yeah. Do they still sell Galaxy Gas? Again, that's something that, like, you know, as much as stuff I don't think should be banned, that's the sort of thing that needs to be way more regulated than it is. Well, there's Galaxy Gas in Luton, so you can get it in the UK. Jenkum, oh, what, putting the balloon on a bottle of shit to fill up the gas from the like sulfur or whatever it is, and then getting high off that. Yeah, I've never tried that. I don't think I ever would. So yeah, can you get? I'm not going to get any. I'm going to be completely honest with this, just because I wouldn't trust myself with it. But yeah, does somebody sell Galaxy Gas in the UK? Because it says was an American company, like they're out of business. Okay, there is. Wow, fuck me. I don't mean that seriously to anyone, by the way. I can buy Mr. Whip, so that's our version of Galaxy Gas. Mr. Whip, N2O infusion cylinder, 1x640 grams. And do I have to prove that I am not a... This place, though, to be honest, that is selling this one, is like clearly a catering service that only sells lots and lots and lots of things like that. So I'd actually say this company is selling it for legit use. It's for, you know, like a bulk use industrial thing. So let's just search nitrous oxide. I'm just kind of interested in the UK, even though I thought they tried to make it illegal, if it is still really, really easy to get it. Medical grade cylinder of nitrous oxide, eh? I love how loads of these, yeah, like your people saying the Galaxy Gas stuff, blatantly have the bright and colourful marketing shit on them. Yeah, it's like they are dog whistling that, yeah, you're using this for a good time, not that you're using it for what? You can buy nitrous oxide pre-workout tablets? What? Yeah, I was just out of interest seeing if there was any UK sites that look like ones that aren't real catering sites selling them. There's a UK site called Quick Whip. These have the little CO2 ones, like the type when I used it. No, now this site sells Miami Magic. And they just let you directly order. So yeah, if I wanted to, I could buy a 1X Miami Magic 2 kilo 3.3 litre rainbow cream charger. So yeah, if I wanted to kill my brain cells even more than I've already done, and I'm not going to order one of these because, like I said, I would not trust myself with it. But yeah, it turns out in the UK, as much as they've tried to make a lot of this stuff, what do you call it? You know, like so you can't easily get a hold of it. Again, all this prohibition stuff does fuck all. Because what's ended up happening here, I'm going to bookmark the site because one of my friends might be interested in this. Oh, there's one called Baking Bad with strawberry, blueberry, rainbow, and watermelon. Yeah. Those sort of bands do fuck all. As much as they say, oh, we're going to stop the kids getting it. Nah, they just use the culinary loophole, and they I mean, the pictures on these are just weird. It's like where they've got some weird arty looking thing. Well, no, yeah, again, there's going to be so many brands of these. But like I said, I don't trust myself with this stuff. I am closing this website now. One of my mates who used to do Noz, I am, not that he's addicted and I don't think he's done it in ages, but I'm just going to say to him, did you fucking know you could buy this stuff? I'm going to link him. But yeah, like again, but this is why, like I said, prohibitions don't work. And all these things just make everything worse, because it means the only way that stuff ends up getting to people is through unregulated and like lying to ways of doing it. Anyway, I'm very hungry now. I've been streaming for 2 hours and 20 minutes. So don't forget to like the stream. I'll be off. Hopefully I'll get time to stream for a bit tomorrow. I have got a video out tomorrow, as usual. Let me tell you what tomorrow's video is. So today's video was the one on just that electric lighter, wasn't it, with a flashlight in it and everything else. Right, tomorrow's video. It's on a compass that could kill you. So that might interest some of you. And then the day after that, I've got the thing on the Channel 4 documentary about the converted blank firers that might also interest me, where I just kind of go on a bit of a rant of the way they fucking represent these things in the media. That anyway, have a good day, everybody. I don't want to keep talking and never get off the stream. So see you all. Have a good day, whatever time it is, wherever you guys are. And yeah, hopefully see you all soon.